Section 1 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Claire. They told me. They told me Pan was dead, but I oft marveled who it was that sang down the green valleys languidly where the gray elder thickets hang. Sometimes I thought it was a bird my soul had charged with sorcery. Sometimes it seemed my own heart heard inland the sorrow of the sea. But even where the primrose sets the seal of her pale loveliness, I found amid the violets tears of an antique bitterness. Sorcery. What voice is that I hear crying across the pool? It is the voice of Pan ye hear, crying his sorcery shrill and clear in the twilight dim and cool. What song is it he sings, echoing from afar, while the sweet swallow bends her wings, filling the air with twitterings beneath the brightening star? The woodman answered me, his faggot on his back, "Seek not the face of Pan to see, flee from his clear notes summoning thee to darkness deep and black. He dwells in thickest shade, piping his notes forlorn, of sorrow never to be allayed. Turn from his covert sad, of twilight into morn." The woodman passed away along the forest path, his axe shone keen and gray in the last beams of day, and all was still as death. Only Pan, singing sweet, out of earth's fragrant shade, I dreamed his eyes to meet, and found but shadow laid before my tired feet. Comes no more dawn to me, nor bird of open skies, only his wood's deep gloom I see, till, at the end of all, shall rise, afar and tranquilly, death's stretching sea. The Children of Stair. Winter is fallen early on the house of Stair. Birds in reverberating flocks haunt its ancestral box. Bright are the plenteous berries in clusters in the air. Still is the fountain's music, the dark pool icy still, whereupon a small and sanguine sun floats in a mirror on into a west of crimson from a south of daffodil. 'Tis strange to see young children in such a wintry house. Like rabbits on the frozen snow, their telltale footprints go. Their laughter rings like timbrels 'neath evening ominous. Their small and heightened faces like wine-red winter buds, their frolic bodies gentle as flakes in the air that pass, frail as the twirling petal from the briar of the woods. Above them silence lowers, still as an arctic sea. Light fails, night falls, the wintry moon glitters, the crocus will soon ope gray and distracted on earth's austerity. Thick mystery, wide peril, law like an iron rod, yet sport they on in spring's attire, each with his tiny fire, blown to a core of ardor by the awful breath of God. End of section 1. This recording is in the public domain. Section 2 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Claire. Age. This ugly old crone, every beauty she had when a maid, Her beautiful eyes, too youthful, too wise, seemed ever to come to so lightless a home, cold and dull as a stone. And her cheeks, who would guess, cheeks cadaverous as this, once with colors were gay as the flower on its spray. Who would ever believe aught could bring one to grieve, so much as to make lips bent for love's sake, so thin and so gray? O youth, come away, as she asks in her lone, this old desolate crone. She loves us no more, she is too old to care for the charms that of yore made her body so fair. Past repining, past care, she lives but to bear 1 or 2 fleeting years. Earth's indifference, her tears, have lost now their heat. Her hands and her feet now shake but to be shed as leaves from a tree. And her poor heart beats on, like a sea, the storm gone. The glimpse. Art thou asleep, or have thy wings wearied of my unchanging skies? Or, haply, is it fading dreams are in my eyes? Not even an echo in my heart tells me the courts thy feet trod last. Bare as a leafless wood it is, the summer past. My inmost mind is like a book, the reader dulls with lassitude, wherein the same old lovely words sound poor and rude. Yet through this vapid surface I seem to see old-time deeps. I see, past the dark painting of the hour, life's ecstasy. Only a moment, as when day is set, and in the shade of night, through all the clouds that compassed her, stoops into sight. Pale, changeless, everlasting Dian gleams on the prone Endymion, troubles the dullness of his dreams, and then is gone. Remembrance. The sky was like a water-drop in shadow of a thorn, clear, tranquil, beautiful, dark, forlorn. Lightning along its margin ran, a rumour of the sea, rose in profundity and sank into infinity. Lofty and few the elms, the stars, in the vast boughs most bright. I stood a dreamer in a dream, in the unstirring night. Not wonder, worship, not even peace, seemed in my heart to be, only the memory of one, of all most dead to me. Treachery. She had amid her ringlets bound green leaves to rival their dark hue. How could such locks with beauty bound dry up their dew, wither them through and through? She had within her dark eyes lit sweet fires to burn all doubt away. Yet did those fires in darkness lit burn but a day, not even till twilight stay. She had within a dusk of words a vow in simple splendor set. How in the memory of such words could she forget that vow, the soul of it? End of section 2. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 3 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Rebecca Braunert Plunkett. In vain. I knocked upon thy door ajar, while yet the woods with buds were grey. Naught but a little child I heard warbling at break of day. I knocked when June had lured her rose to mask the sharpness of its thorn, knocked yet again, heard only yet thee singing of the morn. The frail convolvulus had wreathed its cup, but the faint flush of eve lingered upon thy western wall. Thou hadst no word to give. Once yet I came, the winter stars above thy house wheeled wildly bright. Footsore I stood before thy door, wide open into night. The Miracle. Who beckons the green ivy up its solitary tower of stone? What spirit lures the bindweed's cup unfaltering on? Calls even the starry lichen to climb by age-long inches endless time? Who bids the hollyhock uplift her rod of fast-sealed buds on high, fling wide her petals, silent, swift, lovely, to the sky? Since as she kindled so she will fade, flower above flower in squalor laid, ever the heavy billow rears all its sea-length in green hushed wall, but totters as the shore it nears, foams to its fall. Where was its mark? On what vain quest rose that great water from its rest? So creeps ambition on, so climb man's vaunting thoughts. He set on high forgets his birth, small space, brief time, that he shall die, dreams blindly in his dark still air, consumes his strength, strips himself bare, rejects delight, ease, pleasure, hope, seeking in vain, but seeking yet past earthly promise, earthly scope, on one aim set, as if, like Chaucer's child, he thought, all but, O Alma, naught. Keep innocency. Like an old battle, youth is wild with bugle and spear and counter-cry, fanfare and drummery, yet a child dreaming of that sweet chivalry the piercing terror cannot see. He with a mild and serious eye, along the azure of the years, sees the sweet pomp sweep hurtling by, but he sees not death, blood, and tears, sees not the plunging of the spears. And all the strident horror of horse and rider in red defeat is only music fine enough to lull him into slumber sweet in fields where ewe and lambkin bleat. Oh, if with such simplicity himself take arms and suffer war, with beams his targe shall gilded be, though in the thickening gloom be far the steadfast light of any star. Though hoarse war's eagle on him perch, quickened with guilty lightnings, there it shall in vain for terror search, where a child's eyes beneath bloody hair gaze purely through the dingy air. And when the wheeling rout is spent, though in the heaps of slain he lie, or lonely in his last content, quenchless shall burn in secrecy the flame death knows his victors by. The Phantom. Wilt thou never come again, beauteous one? Yet the woods are green and dim, yet the bird's deluding cry echoes in the hollow sky, yet the falling waters brim the clear pool which thou wast fain to paint thy lovely cheek upon, beauteous one. I may see the thorny rose stir and wake, the dark dewdrop on her gold, but thy secret will she keep, half divulged, yet all untold, since a child's heart woke from sleep. The faltering sunbeam fades and goes, the night bird whistles in the brake, the willows quake, utter darkness walls, the wind sighs no more. Yet it seems the silence yearns but to catch thy fleeting foot, yet the wandering glowworm burns lest her lamp should light thee not, thee, whom I shall never find, though thy shadow lean before thou thyself return'st no more, nevermore. All the world's woods, tree over tree, come to naught, birds, flowers, beasts, how transient they, angels of a flying day, love is quenched, dreams down in sleep, ruin nods along the deep, only thou immortally hauntest on this poor earth in time's flux caught, hauntest on, pursued, unwon, phantom child of memory, beauteous one. End of section 3. This recording is in the public domain. Section 4 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Rebecca Braunert Plunkett. Voices. Who is it calling by the darkened river, where the moss lies smooth and deep, and the dark trees lean unmoving arms, silent and vague in sleep, and the bright-heeled constellations pass in splendor through the gloom? Who is it calling over the darkened river in music, come? Who is it wandering in the summer meadows, where the children stoop and play in the green faint-scented flowers, spinning the guileless hours away? Who touches their bright hair? Who puts a wind-shell to each cheek, whispering betwixt its breathing silences, seek, seek? Who is it watching in the gathering twilight, when the curfew bird hath flown on eager wings from song to silence, to its darkened nest alone? Who takes for brightening eyes the stars, for locks the still moonbeam, sighs through the dews of evening peacefully falling, dream? Thule. If thou art sweet as they are sad, who on the shores of time's salt sea watch on the dim horizon fade, ships bearing love to night and thee, if past all beacons hope hath lit in the dark wanderings of the deep, they who unwilling traverse it dream not till dawn unseal their sleep. Ah, cease not in thy winds to mock us who yet wake, but cannot see thy distant shores, who at each shock of the wave's onset faint for thee. The Birthnight to F. Dearest, It was a night that in its darkness rocked Orion's stars. A sighing wind ran faintly white along the willows, and the cedar boughs laid their white hands in stealthy peace across the starry silence of their antique moss. No sound save rushing air, cold yet all sweet with spring, and in thy mother's arms couched weeping there, thou lovely thing. The Death Dream. Who now put dreams into thy slumbering mind? Who with bright fear's lean taper crossed a hand athwart its beam, and stooping, truth malign, spake so thy spirit's speech should understand, and with a dread, "He's dead," awaked a peal of frenzied bells along the vacant ways of thy poor earthly heart, waked thee to steal, like dawn distraught upon unhappy days, to prove naught, nothing? Was it Time's large voice, out of the inscrutable future whispered so, or but the horror of a little noise? Earth wakes at dead of night, or does Love know, when his sweet wings weary and droop, and even in sleep cries audibly a shrill remorse? Or haply was it I, who out of dreams stole but a little where shadow's course called back to thee across the eternal stream? End of section 4. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 5 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Mare in Arkansas. Where is thy victory? None, none can tell me where I shall be when the unclean earth covers me. Only in surety if thou cry where my perplexed ashes lie, know 'tis but death's necessity that keeps my tongue from answering thee. Even if no more my shadow may lean for a moment in thy day, no more the whole earth lighten, as if thou near it had naught else to give, surely 'tis but heaven's strategy to prove death immortality. Yet should I sleep and no more dream, sad would the last awakening seem. If my cold heart, with love once hot, had thee in sleep remembered not, how could I wake to find that I had slept alone, yet easefully? Or should in sleep glad visions come, sick in an alien land for home, would be my eyes in their bright beam, awake we know 'tis not a dream. Asleep some devil in the mind might truest thoughts with false enwind. Life is a mockery if death have the least power man say it hath. As to a hound that mewing waits, death opens and shuts to his gates. Else even dry bones might rise and say, "'Tis ye are dead and laid away." Innocent children out of naught build up a universe of thought, and out of silence fashion heaven. So dear is this poor dying, even, seeing thou shalt be touched, heard, seen, better than when dust stood between. End of section 5. Section 6 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Mare in Arkansas. England. No lovelier hills than thine have laid my tired thoughts to rest. No peace of lovelier valleys made, like peace within my breast. Thine are the woods whereto my soul, out of the noontide beam, flees for a refuge green and cool, and tranquil as a dream. Thy breaking seas like trumpets peal, thy clouds, how oft have I watched their bright towers of silence steal into infinity. My heart within me falls to roam in thoughts even far from thee. Thine be the grave whereto I come, and thine my darkness be. End of section 6. Section 7 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Mare in Arkansas. Gloria Mundi. Upon a bank easeless with knobs of gold, beneath a canopy of noonday smoke, I saw a measureless beast, morose and bold, with eyes like one from filthy dreams awoke, who stares upon the daylight in despair, for the very terror of the nothing there. This beast in one flat hand clutched vulture-wise a glittering image of itself in jet, and with the other groped about its eyes to drive away the dreams that pestered it, and never ceased its coils to toss and beat the mire encumbering its feeble feet. Sharp was its hunger, though continually it seemed a cud of stones to ruminate, and often like a dog let glittering lie this meatless fare its foolish gaze to sate. Once more convulsively to stoop its jaw, or seize the morsel with an envious paw. Indeed it seemed a hidden enemy must lurk within the clouds above that bank. It strained so wildly its pale stubborn eye to pierce its own foul vapors dim and dank, till wearied out it raved in wrath and foam, daring that not invisible to come. Aye, and it seemed some strange delight to find in this unmeaning din, till suddenly, as if it heard a rumor on the wind, or far away its freer children cry, lifting its face made quiet, there it stayed, till died the echo its own rage had made. That place alone was barren where it lay. Flowers bloomed beyond, utterly sweet and fair, and even its own dull heart might think to stay in livelong thirst of a clear river there, flowing from unseen hills to unheard seas, through a still vale of yew and almond trees. And then I spied in the lush green below its tortured belly one like silver pale, with fingers closed upon a rope of straw that bound the beast, squat neck to hoary tail. Lonely in all that verdure, faint and deep, he watched the monster as a shepherd sheep. I marveled at the power, strength, and rage of this poor creature in such slavery bound, tettered with worms of fear, forlorn with age, its blue wing stumps stretched helpless on the ground, while twilight faded into darkness deep, and he who watched it piped its pangs asleep. End of Section 7.
Section 8 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Bret Hirsch. Goliath. Still as a mountain with dark pines and sun he stood between the armies, and his shout rolled from the empyrean above the host. Bid any little flea have come forth, and wince at death upon my fingernail. He turned his large boned face, and all his steel tossed into beams the luster of the noon, and all the shaggy horror of his locks rustled like locusts in a field of corn. The meagre pupil of his shameless eye moved like a cormorant over a glassy sea. He stretched his limbs and laughed into the air, to feel the groaning sinews of his breast, and the long gush of his swollen arteries pause, and, nodding, wheeled, towering in all his height. Then, like a wind that hushes, gazed and saw, down, down, far down upon the untroubled green, a shepherd boy that swung a little sling. Goliath shut his lids to drive that mote which vexed the eastern azure of his eye, out of his vision, and stared down again. Yet stood the youth there, ruddy in the flare of his vast shield, nor spake nor quailed, gazed up, as one might scan a mountain to be scaled. Then, as it were, a voice unearthly still cried in the cavern of his bristling ear, "His name is Death." And like the flush that dyes Sahara to its lifeless verge, his brow's bright brass flamed into sudden crimson, and his great spear leapt upward lightning-like, shaking a dreadful thunder in the air, spun betwixt earth and sky, bright as a berg that hoards the sunlight in a myriad spires, crashed and struck echo through an army's heart. Then paused Goliath, and stared down again, and Fleetfoot Fear from rolling orbs perceived, steadfast, unharmed, a stooping shepherd boy, frowning upon the target of his face. And Wrath tossed suddenly up once more his hand, and a deep groan grieved all his strength in him. He breathed, and lost in dazzling darkness, prayed, besought his reins, his gloating gods, his youth, and turned to smite what he no more could see. Then sped the singing pebble messenger, the chosen of the Lord from Israel's brooks, fleet to its mark, and hollowed a light path down to the appalling babble of his brain. And like the smoke of dreaming soufriere, dust rose in clouds, spread wide, slow silted down, softly, all softly, on his armor's blaze. End of recording.
Section 9 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Claire. Falstaff. 'Twas in a tavern that with old age stooped, and leaned rheumatic rafters over his head, a bloused prodigious man, which talked and stared, and rolled, as if with purpose, a small eye, like a sweet Cupid in a cask of wine. I could not view his fatness for his soul, which peeped like harmless lightnings, and was gone, as haps to voyagers of the summer air. And when he laughed, time trickled down those beams, as in a glass, and when in self-defense he puffed that paunch, and wagged that huge Greek head, nosed like a Punchinello, then it seemed 100 widows swept in his small voice, now tenor, and now bass of drummy war. He smiled, compact of loam, this orchard man, mused like a midnight, webbed with moonbeam snares, of flitting love, woke, and a king he stood, whom all the world hath in sheer jest refused, for helpless laughter's sake, and then forfend. Bacchus and Jove reared past Olympus there, and Pan leaned leering from Promethean eyes. Lord, sighed his aspect, weeping o'er the jest, what simple mouse brought such a mountain forth? Macbeth. Rose like dim battlements the hills enreared, steep crags into the fading primrose sky. But in the desolate valleys fell small rain, mingled with drifting cloud. I saw one come, like the fierce passion of that vacant place, his face turned glittering to the evening sky, his eyes, like grey despair, fixed satelessly on the still rainy turrets of the storm, and all his armor in a haze of blue. He held no sword, bare was his hand and clenched, as if to hide the inextinguishable blood murder had painted there, and his wild mouth seemed spouting echoes of deluded thoughts. Around his head, like vipers all distort, his locks shook, heavy laden at each stride. If fire may burn invisible to the eye, oh, if despair strive everlastingly, then haunted here the creature of despair, fanning and fanning flame to lick upon a soul still childish in a blackened hell. Banquo. What dost thou here, far from thy native place? What piercing influences of heaven have stirred thy heart's last mansion all corruptible to wake, to move, and in the sweets of wine and fire sit tempting madness with unholy eyes? Begone, thou shuddering pale anomaly! The dark presses without on yew and thorn. Stoops now the owl upon her lonely quest. The pomp runs high here, and our beauteous women seek no cold witness. Oh, let murder cry, too shrill for human ear, only to God. Come not in power to wreak so wild a vengeance. Thou knowest not now the limit of man's heart. He is beyond thy knowledge. Gaze not then, horror enthroned lit with insanest light. End of section 9. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Claire.
Section 10 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Ellen Preckle. Mercutio. Along an avenue of almond trees came 3 girls chattering of their sweethearts 3, and lo, Mercutio with Byronic ease out of his philosophic eye cast all, a mere flowered twig of thought, whereat 3 hearts fell still, as when an air dies out, and Venus falters lonely o'er the sea. But when within the further mist of bloom his step and form were hid, The smooth child Anne said, "La, and what eyes he had!" And Lucy said, "How sad a gentleman!" And Catherine, "I wonder now what mischief he was at." And these three also April hid away, leaving the spring faint with Mercutio. Juliet's nurse. In old world nursery, vacant now of children, with posied walls, familiar, fair, demure, and facing southward o'er romantic streets, sits yet and gossips winter's dark away, one gloomy, vast, glossy, and wise, and sly, and at her side a cherried country cousin. Her tongue claps ever like a ram's sweet bell. There's not a name but calls a tale to mind, some marrowy patty of farce or melodram. There's not a soldier but hath babes in view. There's naught on earth what minds not of the midwife. O widowhood, that left me still espoused! Beauty she sighs o'er, and she sighs o'er gold. Gold will buy all things, even a sweet husband. Else only heaven is left, and farewell youth! Yet strangely, in that money haunted head, the sad gemmed crucifix and incense blue, is childhood once again. Her memory is like an anthill which a twig disturbs, but twig stilled never. And to see her face, broad with sleek homely beams, her babied hands ever like lighting doves, and her small eyes, blue wells a twinkle, arch and lewd and pious, to darken all sudden into Stygian gloom, and paint disaster with uplifted whites, is life's epitome. She prates and prates, a water brook of words o'er 12 small pebbles. And when she dies, some grey long summer evening, when the bird shouts of childhood through the dusk, 'neath night's faint tapers, then her body shall lie stiff with silks of 60 thrifty years. Iago. A dark lean face, a narrow slanting eye, whose deeps of blackness one pale taper's beam haunts with a fitting madness of desire. A heart whose cinder at the breath of passion glows to a momentary core of heat, almost beyond indifference to endure. So parched Iago frets his life away. His scorn works ever in a brain whose wit this world hath fools too many and gross to seek. Ever to live incredibly alone, masked, shivering, deadly with a simple Moor, of idiot gravity and one pale flower, whose chill would quench in everlasting peace his soul's unmeasured flame. O paradox! Might he but learn the trick, to wear her heart. One fragile hour of heedless innocence, and then farewell and the incessant grave. O fool! O villain! 'Tis the shuttlecock, wit never leaves at rest. It is his fate to be a needle in the world of hay, where honour is the flattery of the fool, sin a tame bauble, lies a tiresome jest, virtue a silly whitewashed block of wood for words to fell. Ah, but the secret lacking, the secret of the child, the bird, the night, faded, flouted, bespattered, in days so far, hate cannot bitter them, nor wrath deny. Else were this Desdemona. Why? Woman a harlot is, and life a nest fouled by long ages of forked fools, and God, Iago deals not with a tale so dull. To have made the world? Fie on thee, artisan. End of Section 10. This recording is in the public domain. Section 11 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Ellen Preckle. Imogen. Even she, too, dead, all languor on her brow, all mute humanity's last simpleness, and yet the roses in her cheeks unfallen. Can death haunt silence with a silver sound? Can death, that hushes all music to a close, pluck one sweet wire, scarce audible, that trembles, as if a little child, called Purity, sang heedlessly on of his dear Imogen? Surely, if some young flowers of spring were put into the tender hollow of her heart, 'twould faintly answer, trembling in their petals. Poise but a wild bird's feather, it will stir on lips that even in silence wear the badge only of truth. Let but a cricket wake and sing of home, and bid her lids unseal the unspeakable hospitality of her eyes. O childless soul, call once her husband's name, and even if indeed from these green hills of England far her spirit flits forlorn, back to its youthful mansion it will turn, back to the floods of sorrow these sweet locks yet heavy bear in drops, and night shall see, unwearying as her stars still Imogen, pausing twixt death and life on one hushed word. Polonius. There haunts in Time's bare house an active ghost, enamoured of his name, Polonius. He moves small fingers much, and all his speech is like a sampler of precisest words set in the pattern of a simpleton. His mirth floats eerily down chill corridors, his sigh, it is a sound that loves a keyhole, his tenderness a faint court-tarnishing thing. His wisdom prates as from a wicker cage, his very belly is a pompous naught, his eye a page that hath forgot his errand, yet in his brain, his spiritual brain, lies hid a child's demure, small, silver whistle, which to his horror God blows unawares, and sets men staring. It is sad to think, might he but don indeed thin flesh and blood, and pace important to law's inmost room, he would see, much marvelling, one immensely wise, named Bacon, who, at sound of his youth's step, would turn and call him cousin for the likeness. Ophelia. There runs a criss-cross pattern of small leaves, espalier in a fading summer air, and there Ophelia walks, an azure flower, whom wind and snowflakes and the sudden rain of love's wild skies have purified to heaven. There is a beauty past all weeping now in that sweet crooked mouth, that vacant smile, only a lonely grey in those mad eyes, which never on earth shall learn their loneliness. And when amid startled birds she sings lament, mocking in hope the long voice of the stream, it seems her heart's lute hath a broken string. Ivy she hath, that to old ruin clings, and rosemary that sees remembrance fade, and pansies deeper than the gloom of dreams. But ah, if utterable, would this earth remain the base unreal thing it is? Better be out of sight of peering eyes, out of hearing of all useless words, spoken in tedious tongues in heedless ears. And lest at last the world should learn heart's secrets, lest that sweet wolf from some dim thicket steal, better the glassy horror of the stream. Hamlet. Umbrageous cedars, murmuring symphonies, stooped in late twilight o'er dark Denmark's prince. He sat, his eyes companioned with dream, lustrous large eyes that held the world in view, as some entranced child's a puppet show. Darkness gave birth to the all-trembling stars, and a far roar of long-drawn cataracts, flooding immeasurable night with sound. He sat so still his very thoughts took wing, and, lightest Ariels, the stillness haunted with midge-like measures, but at last even they sank 'neath the influences of his night. The sweet dust shed faint perfume in the gloom. Through all wild space the stars' bright arrows fell on the lone prince, the troubled son of man, on Time's dark waters in unearthly trouble. Then, as the roar increased, and one fair tower of cloud took sky and stars with majesty, he rose, his face a parchment of old age. Sorrow hath scribbled o'er, and o'er, and o'er. End of Section 11. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 12 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by TechSavvy. www.techsavvy.wordpress.com. The Happy Encounter. I saw sweet poetry turn troubled eyes on shaggy signs nosing in the grass, for by that way poor poetry must pass on her long pilgrimage to paradise. He snuffled, grunted, squealed, perplexed by flies, parched, weather-worn, and near of sight, alas, from peering close where very little was. in dens secluded from the open skies. But poetry in bravery went down, and called his name soft, clear, and fearlessly, stooped low and stroked his muzzle overgrown, refreshed his drought with dew, wiped pure and free his eyes, and lo, laughed loud for joy to see in those grey deeps the azure of her own. April. Come then with showers, I love thy cloudy face, gilded with splendour of the sunbeam through. The heedless glory of thy locks I know, the arch sweet languor of thy fleeting grace, the windy love beams of thy dwelling place, thy dim dells wherein azure blue bells blow, the brimming rivers where thy lightnings go. Harmless and full and swift from race to race, thou takest all young hearts captive with thine eyes. At rumour of thee the tongues of children ring, louder than bees the golden poplars rise, like trumps of peace, and birds on homeward wing fly mocking echoes shrill along the skies, above the waves grave diapasoning. Sea magic to our eye. My heart faints in me for the distant sea. The roar of London is the roar of ire the lion utters in his old desire for Libya out of dim captivity. The long bright silver of Cheapside I see, her gilded weathercocks on roof and spire, exulting eastward in the western fire. All things recall one heart sick memory, ever the rustle of the advancing foam, the surge's desolate thunder, and the cry as of some lone babe in the whispering sky. Ever I peer in the restless gloom to where a ship, clad dim and loftily, looms steadfast in the wonder of her home. The marketplace. My mind is like a clamorous marketplace, all day in wind, rain, sun, its Babel bells, voice answering to voice in tumult swells, chaffering and laughing, pushing for a place. My thoughts haste on, gay, strange, poor, simple, base. This one buys dust, and that a bauble sells, but none to any scrutiny hints or tells. The haunting secrets hidden in each sad face dies down the clamour when the dark draws near. Strange looms the earth in twilight of the west, lonely with one sweet star serene and clear, dwelling, when all this place is hushed to rest, on vacant stall, gold, refuse, worst and best, abandoned utterly in haste and fear. Anatomy. By chance my fingers, resting on my face, stayed suddenly where in its orbit shone the lamp of all things beautiful, then on, following more heedfully, did softly trace each arc and prominence and hollow place, that shall reveal me when all else is gone, warmth, colour, roundness to oblivion, and nothing left but darkness and disgrace. Life like a moment past seemed then to be a transient dream, this raiment that it wore, while spelled my hand out its mortality, made certain all that had seemed doubt before, proved, oh how vaguely, yet how lucidly, how much death does and yet can do no more. End of section 12. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by TechSavvy. www.techsavvy.wordpress.com.
Section 13 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Lucretia B. Even in the Grave. I laid my inventory at the hand of Death, who in his gloomy arbour sate, and while he conned it, sweet and desolate, I heard love singing in that quiet land. He read the record even to the end, the heedless livelong injuries of fate, the burden of foe, the burden of love and hate, the wounds of foe, the bitter wounds of friend. All he read, aye, even the indifference, the vain talk, vainer silence, hope and dream. He questioned me, "What seek'st thou then instead?" I bowed my face in the pale evening gleam. Then gazed he on me with strange innocence. "Even in the grave thou wilt have thyself," he said. Bright life. "Come now," I said, "put off these webs of death. Distract this leaden yearning of thine eyes From lichened banks of peace, sad mysteries Of dust fallen in, where passed the flitting breath. Turn thy sick thoughts from him that slumbereth In mouldered linen, to the living skies, The sun's bright clouded principalities, The salt deliciousness the sea breeze hath. Lay thy warm hand on earth's cold clods, and think what exquisite greenness sprouts from these To grace the moving fields of summer. On the brink of arched waves the sea horizon trace, Whence wheels night's galaxy, and in silence sink the pride in rapture of life's dwelling place. Humanity. Ever exulting in thyself, on fire to flaunt the purple of the universe, To strut, and thy great part rehearse, Ever the slave of every proud desire, Come now a little down where sports thy sire. Choose thy small better from thy abounding worse. Prove thou thy lordship, who hadst dust for nurse, And for thy swaddling the primeval mire. Then stooped our manhood nearer, deep and still, As from earth's mountains an unvoyaged sea, Hushed my faint voice in its great peace, until It seemed but a bird's cry in eternity. And in its future loomed the undreamable, And in its past slept simple men like me. Virtue. Her breast is cold, her hands how faint and wan, And the deep wonder of her starry eyes Seemingly lost in cloudless paradise, And all earth's sorrow out of memory gone. Yet sings her clear voice unrelenting on Of loveliest impossibilities, Though echo only answer her with sighs Of effort wasted and delights foregone. Spent, baffled, wildered, hated and despised, Her straggling warriors hasten to defeat, By wounds distracted and by night surprised, Fall where death's darkness and oblivion meet. Yet, O breast how cold, O hope how far, Grant my son's ashes lie where these men's are. End of Section 13. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 14 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Rebecca Braunert Plunkett. Reverie. Bring not bright candles, for his eyes in twilight have sweet company. Bring not bright candles, else they fly, his phantoms fly, gazing aggrieved on thee. Bring not bright candles, startle not, the phantoms of a vacant room, flocking above a child that dreams, deep, deep in dreams, hid in the gathering gloom. Bring not bright candles to those eyes that between earth and stars descry lovelier, for the shadows there, children of air, palaces in the sky. The Massacre. The shadow of a poplar tree lay in that lake of sun, as I with my little sword went in against 1,001, haughty and infinitely armed, insolent in their wrath. Plumed high with purple plumes they held the narrow meadow path. The air was sultry, all was still, the sun like flashing glass, and snip, snap my light whispering steel in arcs of light did pass. Lightly and dull fell each proud head, spiked keen without avail, till swam my uncontented blade with ichor green and pale, and silence fell. The rushing sun stood still in path of heat, gazing in waves of horror on the dead about my feet. Never a whir of wing, no bee stirred o'er the shameful slain, naught but a thirsty wasp crept in, stooped and came out again. The very air trembled in fear, eclipsing shadows seemed, rising in crimson waves of gloom, on one who dreamed. Echo. Who called, I said, and the words through the whispering glades, hither, thither, baffled the birds. Who called? Who called? The leafy boughs on high hissed in the sun. The dark air carried my cry faintingly on. Eyes in the green, in the shade, in the motionless brake. Voices that said what I said for mockery's sake. Who cares? I bawled through my tears. The wind fell low. In the silence, who cares? Who cares? Wailed to and fro. Fear. I know where lurk the eyes of fear. I alone, where shadowy clear, watching for me, lurks fear. 'Tis ever still and dark, despite all singing and all candlelight. 'Tis ever cold and night. He touches me, says quietly, stir not, nor whisper, I am nigh. Walk noiseless on, I am by. He drives me as a dog a sheep, like a cold stone I cannot weep. He lifts me hot from sleep in marble hands, to where on high the jewelled horror of his eye dares me to struggle or cry. No breast wherein to chase away that watchful shape. Vain, vain to say, haunt not with night the day. End of Section 14. This recording is in the public domain. Section 15 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Rebecca Braunert Plunkett. The Mermaids. Sand, sand, hills of sand, and the wind where nothing is, green and sweet of the land, no grass, no trees, no bird, no butterfly, but hills, hills of sand and a burning sky. Sea, sea, mounds of the sea, hollow and dark and blue, flashing incessantly the whole sea through, no flower, no jutting root, only the floor of the sea, with foam afloat, blow, blow, winding shells, and the watery fish, deaf to the hidden bells in the water's splash. No streaming gold, no eyes watching along the waves, but far-blown shells, faint bells from the darkling caves. Myself. There is a garden grey with mists of autumn tide, under the giant boughs stretched green on every side. Along the lonely path a little child like me, with face, with hands like mine, plays ever silently, on, quite silently, when I am there alone, turns not his head, lifts not his eyes, heeds not as he plays on. After the birds are flown from singing in the trees, when all is grey, all silent, voices and winds and bees, and I am here alone, forlornly, silently, place in the evening garden, myself with me. Autumn. There is a wind where the rose was, cold rain where sweet grass was, and clouds like sheep stream over the steep, grey skies where the lark was, not gold where your hair was, not warm where your hand was, but phantom forlorn beneath the thorn, your ghost where your face was, sad winds where your voice was, tears, tears where my heart was, and ever with me, child, ever with me, silence where hope was. Winter. Green mistletoe, oh, I remember now a dell of snow, frost on the bough, none there but I. Snow, snow, and a wintry sky, none there but I, and footprints, one by one, zigzaggedly, where I had run, where shrill and powdery a robin sat in the tree, and he whistled sweet, and I, in the crusted snow, with snow-clapped feet, jigged to and fro, till from the day the rose light ebbed away, and the robin flew into the air, the white mist threw, and small and rare the night frost fell in the calm and misty dell. And the dusk gathered low, and the silver moon and stars on the frozen snow drew taper bars, kindled winking fires in the hooded briars, and the sprawling bear growled deep in the sky, and Orion's hair streamed sparkling by, but the north side low, snow, snow, more snow. End of section 15. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 16 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Hallie Kill. To my mother. Thine is my all, how little when 'tis told, beside thy gold. Thine the first peace, and mine the livelong strife. Thine the clear dawn, and mine the night of life. Thine the unstained belief, darkened in grief. Scarce even a flower but thine its beauty and name, dimmed yet the same. Never in twilight comes the moon to me, stealing thro' those far woods, but tells of thee. Falls dear on my wild heart, and takes thy part. Thou art the child, and I, how steeped in age, a blotted page. From that clear little book life's taken away. How could I read it, dear, so dark the day? Be it all memory 'twixt thee and me. End of section 16. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 17 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Mary Haynes. The 3 Cherry Trees. There were 3 cherry trees once, grew in a garden all shady, and there for delight of so gladsome a sight walked a most beautiful lady, dreamed a most beautiful lady. Birds in those branches did sing, blackbird and throstle and linnet, but she walking there was by far the most fair, lovelier than all else within it, blackbird and throstle and linnet. But blossoms to berries do come, all hanging on stalks light and slender, and one long summer's day charmed that lady away with vows sweet and merry and tender, a lover with voice low and tender. Moss and lichen the green branches deck, weeds nod in its paths green and shady, yet a light footstep seems there to wander in dreams, the ghost of that beautiful lady, that happy and beautiful lady. Old Ben. Sad is old Ben Thistlethwaite, now his day is done, and all his children far away are gone. He sits beneath his jasmined porch, his stick between his knees, his eyes fixed vacant on his moss-grown trees. Grass springs in the green path, his flowers are lean and dry, his thatch hangs in wisps against the evening sky. He has no heart to care now, though the winds will blow, whistling in his casement, and the rain drip through. He thinks of his old Betty, how she'd shake her head and say, "You'll live to wish my sharp old tongue could scold, some day." But as in pale high autumn skies the swallows float and play, his restless thoughts pass to and fro, but nowhere stay. Soft on the morrow they are gone, his garden then will be denser and shadier and greener, greener the moss-grown tree. Old Susan. When Susan's work was done, she would sit with one fat guttering candle lit, and window opened wide to win the sweet night air to enter in. There, with a thumb to keep her place, she would read with stern and wrinkled face, her mild eyes gliding very slow across the letters to and fro, while wagged the guttering candle flame in the wind that through the window came. And sometimes in the silence she would mumble a sentence audibly, or shake her head as if to say, "You silly souls, to act this way." And never a sound from night I would hear, unless some far-off cock crowed clear, or her old shuffling thumb should turn another page, and rapt and stern, through her great glasses bent on me, she would glance into reality, and shake her round old silvery head with, "You! I thought you was in bed," only to tilt her book again, and rooted in romance remain. Miss Lou. When thin-strewn memory I look through, I see most clearly poor Miss Lou. Her tabby cat, her cage of birds, her nose, her hair, her muffled words, and how she would open her green eyes, as if in some immense surprise, whenever, as we sat at tea, she made some small remark to me. 'Tis always drowsy summer, when from out the past she comes again. The westering sunshine in a pool floats in her parlor still and cool, while the slim bird its lean wires shakes, as into piercing song it breaks, till Peter's pale green eyes ajar dream wake, wake dream in one brief bar. And I am sitting dull and shy, and she with gaze of vacancy, and large hands folded on the tray, musing the afternoon away, her satin bosom heaving slow, with sighs that softly ebb and flow, and her plain face in such dismay, it seems unkind to look her way, until all cheerful back will come, her gentle gleaming spirit home, and one would think that poor Miss Lou asked nothing else if she had you. End of section 17. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mary Haynes.
Section 18 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Shempf. The Tailor. Few footsteps stray when dusk droops o'er the tailor's old stone-linteled door. There sits he, stitching half asleep beside his smoky tallow dip. Click, click, his needle hastes, and shrill cries back the cricket beneath the sill. Sometimes he stays, and over his thread leans sidelong his old tousled head, or stoops to peer with half-shut eye when some strange footfall echoes by, till clear gleams his candle's spark into the dusty summer dark. Then from his crossed legs he gets down to find how dark the evening has grown, and hunched up in his door he will hear the cricket whistling crisp and clear, and so beneath the starry gray will mutter half a seam away. Martha. Once upon a time. Over and over again Martha would tell us her stories in the hazel glen. Hers were those clear gray eyes you watch, and the story seems told by their beautifulness. Tranquil as dreams, she would sit with her two slim hands clasped round her bended knees, while we on our elbows lolled and stared at ease. Her voice and her narrow chin, her grave, small, lovely head, seemed half the meaning of the words she said. Once upon a time, like a dream you dreamed in the night, fairies and gnomes stole out in the leaf-green light, and her beauty far away would fade as her voice ran on, till hazel and summer, sun and all were gone, all fordone and forgot, and like clouds in the height of the sky, our hearts stood still in the hush of an age gone by. The Sleeper. As Anne came in one summer's day, she felt that she must creep. So silent was the clear, cool house, it seemed a house of sleep. And sure, when she pushed open the door, wrapped in the stillness there, her mother sat, with stooping head asleep upon a chair, fast, fast asleep, her two hands laid loose folded on her knee, so that her small unconscious face looked half unreal to be. So calmly lit with sleep's pale light, each feature was so fair. Her forehead, every trouble was smoothed out beneath her hair. But though her mind in dream now moved, still seemed her gaze to rest, from out beneath her fast-sealed lids, above her moving breast, on Anne, as quite still she stood. Yet slumber lay so deep, even her hands upon her lap seemed saturate with sleep. And as Anne peeped, a cloud-like dread stole over her, and then on stealthy, mouse-like feet she trod and tiptoed out again. End of section 18. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 19 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Elise. The Keys of Morning. While at her bedroom window once, learning her task for school, little Louisa lonely sat in the morning clear and cool. She slanted her small bead-brown eyes across the empty street, and saw Death softly watching her in the sunshine pale and sweet. His was a long, lean, sallow face. He sat with half-shut eyes, like an old sailor in a ship, becalmed 'neath tropic skies. Beside him in the dust he had set his staff and shady hat. These, peeping small, Louisa saw quite clearly where she sat. The thinness of his coal-black locks, his hands so long and lean they scarcely seemed to grasp at all the keys that hung between. Both were of gold, but one was small, and with this last did he wag in the air, as if to say, "Come hither, child, to me." Louisa laid her lesson-book on the cold window-sill, and in this sleepy sunshine house went softly down until she stood in the half-open door and peeped. But strange to say, where Death just now had sunning sat, only a shadow lay. Just the tall chimney's round-topped cowl, and the small sun behind, had with its shadow in the dust called sleepy Death to mind. But most she thought how strange it was, 2 keys that he should bear, and that, when beckoning, he should wag the littlest in the air. Rachel. Rachel sings sweet, oh yes, at night, her pale face bent in the candlelight. Her slim hands touch the answering keys, and she sings of hope and of memories. Sings to the little boy that stands watching those slim, light, heedful hands. He looks in her face. Her dark eyes seem dark with a beautiful, distant dream. And still she plays, sings tenderly to him of hope and of memory. Alone. A very old woman lives in yon house. The squeak of the cricket, the stir of the mouse, are all she knows of earth and us. Once she was young, would dance and play like many another young popinjay, and run to her mother at dusk of day. And colours bright she delighted in, to fiddle, to hear, and to lift her chin, and sing as small as a twittering wren. But age apace comes at last to all, and a lone house filled with the cricket's call, and the scampering mouse in the hollow wall. The bells. Shadow and light both strove to be the 8 bell ringers' company, as with his gliding rope in hand, counting the changes each did stand, while rang and trembled every stone, to music by the bell mouths blown, till the bright clouds that towered on high seemed to re-echo cry with cry. Still swang the clappers to and fro, when, in the far spread fields below, I saw a ploughman with his team lift to the bells and fix on them his distant eyes, as if he would drink in the utmost sound he could. While near him sat his children 3, and in the grass, the green grass placidly, played undistracted on, as if what music earthly bells might give could only faintly stir their dream, and stillness make more lovely seem. Soon night hid horses, children, all in sleep deep and ambrosial, yet it seemed, from star to star, welling now near, now faint and far, those echoing bells rang on in dream, and stillness made even lovelier seem. End of section 19. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 20 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer, Mumbai. The Scarecrow. All winter through I bow my head beneath the driving rain. The north wind powders me with the snow and blows me back again. At midnight, 'neath a maze of stars, I flame with glittering rhyme, and stand above the stubble, stiff as mail at morning prime. But when that child, called Spring, and all his host of children come, scattering their buds and dew upon these acres of my home, some rapture in my rags awakes. I lift void eyes and scan the skies for crows, those ravening foes of my strange master, man. I watch him striding lank behind his clashing team, and know soon will the wheat swish body high, where once lay sterile snow. Soon shall I gaze across a sea of sun-begotten grain, which my unflinching watch had sealed for harvest once again. Note. Softly along the road of evening, in a twilight dim with rose, wrinkled with age and drenched with dew, old Nod, the shepherd, goes. His drowsy flock streams on before him, their fleeces charged with gold, to where the sun's last beam leans low on Nod the shepherd's fold. The hedge is quick and green with briar, from their sand the conies creep, and all the birds that fly in heaven flock singing home to sleep. His lambs outnumber a noon's roses, yet when night's shadows fall, his blind old sheep-dog, slumber soon, misses not one of all. His are the quiet steeps of dreamland, the waters of no more pain. His ram's bell rings beneath an arch of stars. Rest, rest, and rest again. The bindweed. The bindweed roots pierce down deeper than men do lie, laid in their dark shut graves their slumbering kinsmen by. Yet what frail thin spun flowers she casts into the air, to breathe the sunshine and to leave her fragrance there. But when the sweet moon comes, showering her silver down, half wreathed in faint sleep they droop where they have blown. So all the grass is set, beneath her trembling ray, with buds that have been flowers, brimmed with reflected day. Winter. Clouded with snow the cold winds blow, and shrill on leafless bough the robin with its burning breast alone sings now. The rayless sun, day's journey done, sheds its last ebbing light on fields in leagues of beauty spread unearthly white. Thick draws the dark, and spark by spark the frost fires kindle, and soon over that sea of frozen foam floats the white moon. There blooms no bud in May. There blooms no bud in May can for its white compare with snow at break of day, on fields forlorn and bare. For shadow it hath rose, azure and amethyst, and every air that blows dies out in beauteous mist. It hangs the frozen bough with flowers, on which the night, wheeling her darkness through, scatters a starry light. Fearful of its pale glare, in flocks the starlings rise, slide through the frosty air, and perch with plaintive cries. Only the inky rook, hunched cold in ruffled wings, its snowy nest forsook, cause of unnumbered springs. End of section 20. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Section 21 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Marmalade Hanna, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/pirata radio. Noon and Night Flower. Not any flower that blows, but shining watch doth keep. Every swift changing checkered hour it knows, now to break forth in beauty, now to sleep. This for the roving bee keeps open house, and this stainless and clear is, that in darkness she may lure the moth to where her nectar is. Lovely beyond the rest are these of all delight, the tiny pimpernel that noon loves best, the primrose palely burning through the night. One 'neath day's burning sky with ruby decks her place, the other when eve's chariot glideth by, lifts her dim torch to light that dreaming face. Estranged. No one was with me there, happy I was, alone. Yet from the sunshine suddenly a joy was gone. A bird in an empty house sad echoes makes to ring, flitting from room to room on restless wing, till from its shades he flies and leaves forlorn and dim the narrow solitudes so strange to him. So when with fickle heart I joyed in the passing day, a presence my mood estranged went grieved away. The tired Cupid. The thin moonlight with trickling ray, thridding the boughs of silver May, trembles in beauty pale and cool, on folded flower and mantled pool. All in a haze the rushes lean, and he sits with chin between his two cold hands, his bare feet set deep in the grasses green and wet. About his head 100 rings of gold loop down to meet his wings, whose feathers, arched their stillness through, gleam with slow gathering drops of dew. The mouse-bat peers, the stealthy vole creeps from the covert of its hole. A shimmering moth its pinions furls, gray in the moonshine of his curls. 'Neath the faint stars the night airs stray, scattering the fragrance of the May, and with each stirring of the bough, shadow beclouds his childlike brow. Dreams. Be gentle, O hands of a child, be true like a shadowy sea. In the starry darkness of night are your eyes to me. But words are shallow, and soon dreams fade that the heart once knew, and youth fades out in the mind, in the dark eyes too. What can a tired heart say, which the wise of the world have made dumb, save to the lonely dreams of a child? Return again, come. Faithless. The words you said grow faint, the lamps you lit burn dim, yet still be near your faithless friend, to urge and counsel him. Still with returning feet, to where life's shadows brood, with steadfast eyes made clear in death, haunt his vague solitude. So he, beguiled with earth, yet with its vain things vexed, keep even to his own heart unknown, your memory unperplexed. End of section 21. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Marmalade Hannah, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/pirata radio. Section 22 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Marmalade Hannah, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/pirata radio. The shade. Darker than night, and oh, much darker she, whose eyes in deep night darkness gaze on me. No stars surround her, yet the moon seems hid afar somewhere beneath that narrow lid. She darkens against the darkness, and her face, only by adding thought to thought I trace. Limbed shadowly O dream, return once more to gloomy Hades and the whispering shore. Be angry now no more. Be angry now no more. If I have grieved thee, if thy kindness mine before no hope may now restore. Only forgive, forgive, if still resentment burns in thy cold breast, oh, if no more to pity turns, no more once tender yearns. Thy love, oh, yet forgive. Ask of the winter rain June's withered rose again. Ask grace of the salt sea, she will not answer thee. God would 10 times have shriven a heart so riven. In her cold care thou wouldst be still unforgiven. Exile. Had the gods loved me, I had lain where darnel is and thorn, and the wild night bird's night-long strain trembles in boughs forlorn. Nay, but they loved me not, and I must needs a stranger be, whose every exiled day gone by aches with their memory. Where is my love? In silence and shadow she lies, under the April gray, calm waste of the skies. And a bird above, in the darkness tender and clear, keeps saying over and over, love lies here. Not that she's dead, only her soul is flown out of its last pure earthly mansion, and cries instead, in the darkness tender and clear, like the voice of a bird in the leaves, love, love lies here. Music unheard. Sweet sounds begone, whose music on my ear stirs foolish discontent, or lingering here. When, if I crossed the crystal verge of death, him I should see, who these sounds murmureth. Sweet sounds begone, ask not my heart to break its bond of bravery for sweet quiet's sake. Lure not my feet to leave the path they must tread on unfaltering till I sleep in dust. Sweet sounds begone, though silence brings apace deadly disquiet of this homeless place. And all I love in beauty cries to me, we but vain shadows and reflections be. End of section 22. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Marmalade Hannah, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/Pirata Radio.
Section 23 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Koenig. All That's Past. Very old are the woods, and the buds that break out of the briar's boughs when March winds wake, so old with their beauty are, oh, no man knows through what wild centuries roves back the rose. Very old are the brooks, and the rills that rise where snow sleeps cold beneath the azure skies, sing such a history of come and gone, their every drop is as wise as Solomon. Very old are we men. Our dreams are tales told in dim Eden by Eve's nightingales. We wake and whisper a while, but, the day gone by, silence and sleep like fields of amaranth lie. When the rose is faded. When the rose is faded, memory may still dwell on her beauty shadowed and the sweet smell gone. That vanishing loveliness, that burdening breath, no bond of life hath then, nor grief of death. 'Tis the immortal thought whose passion still makes of the changing the unchangeable. Oh, thus thy beauty, loveliest on earth to me, dark with no sorrow, shines and burns with thee. Sleep. Men all, and birds and creeping beasts, when the dark of night is deep, from the moving wonder of their lives commit themselves to sleep. Without a thought or fear they shut the narrow gates of sense, heedless and quiet, in slumber turn their strength to impotence. The transient strangeness of the earth their spirits no more see, within a silent gloom withdrawn they slumber in secrecy. 2 worlds they have, a globe forgot wheeling from dark to light, and all the enchanted realm of dream that burgeons out of night. The Stranger. Half hidden in a graveyard, in the blackness of a yew where never living creature stirs nor sunbeam pierces through, is a tomb, green and crooked, its faded legend gone, with but one rain-worn cherub's head of smouldering stone. There, when the dusk is falling, silence broods so deep it seems that every wind that breathes blows from the field of sleep. Day breaks in heedless beauty, kindling each drop of dew, but unforsaking shadow dwells beneath this lonely yew. And, all else lost and faded, only this listening head keeps with a strange unanswering smile its secret with the dead. Nevermore, sailor. Nevermore, sailor, shalt thou be tossed on the wind-ridden restless sea. Its tides may labor, all the world shake neath that weight of waters hurled, but its whole shock can only stir thy dust to a quiet even quieter. Thou mock'st at land, who now art come to such a small and shallow home, yet bore the sea full many a care for bones that once a sailor's were. And though the grave's deep soundlessness thy once sea-deafened ear distress, no robin ever on the deep hopped with his song to haunt thy sleep. End of section 23. This recording is in the public domain. Section 24 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Koenig. Arabia. Far are the shades of Arabia, where the princes ride at noon, mid the verdurous vales and thickets, under the ghost of the moon. And so dark is that vaulted purple, flowers in the forest rise and toss into blossom 'gainst the phantom stars pale in the noonday skies. Sweet is the music of Arabia in my heart, when out of dreams I still in the thin clear murk of dawn descry her gliding streams. Hear her strange lutes on the green banks ring loud with the grief and delight of the dim-silked, dark-haired musicians in the brooding silence of night. They haunt me, her lutes and her forests. No beauty on earth I see, but shadowed with that dreams recalls her loveliness to me. Still eyes look coldly upon me, cold voices whisper and say, "He is crazed with the spell of far Arabia, they have stolen his wits away." The Mountains. Still and blanched and cold and lone, the icy hills far off from me, with frosty Euless overgrown, stand in their sculptured secrecy. No path of theirs the chamois fleet treads with a nostril to the wind, or their ice-marbled glaciers beat no wings of eagles in my mind. Yea, in my mind these mountains rise, their perils dyed with evening's rose, and still my ghost sits at my eyes and thirsts for their untroubled snows. Queen Janira. When Queen Janira slumbers through the sultry noon's repose, from out her dreams, as soft she lies, a faint thin music flows. Her lovely hands lie narrow and pale with gilded nails, her head, couched in its handed nets of gold, lies pillowed on her bed. The little Nubian boys who fan her cheeks and tresses clear, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful voices seem afar to hear. They slide their eyes, and, nodding, say, Queen Janira walks today the courts of the Lord Thamazar, where the sweet birds of Psuthis are. And those of earth about her porch of shadow cool and grey, their sidelong beaks in silence lean, and silent flit away. Never to be. Down by the waters of the sea reigns the king of Never to be. His palace walls are black with night, his torches star and moon's light, and for his timepiece deep and grave beats on the green unhastening wave. Wind-swept are his high corridors, his pleasance the sea-mantled shores. For sentinel a shadow stands with hair in heaven and cloudy hands, and round his bed, king's guards to be, watch pines in iron solemnity. His hound is mute, his steed at will roams pastures deep with asphodel. His queen is to her slumber gone, his courtiers mute lie, hewn in stone. He hath forgot where he did hide his sceptre in the mountain-side. Grey-capped and muttering, mad is he, the childless king of Never to be, for all his people in the deep keep everlasting fast asleep, and all his realm is foam and rain, whispering of what comes not again. The Dark Château. In dreams a dark château stands ever open to me. In far ravines dream waters flow descending soundlessly. Above its peaks the eagle floats, lone in a sunless sky. Mute are the golden woodland throats of the birds flitting by. No voice is audible, the wind sleeps in its peace. No flower of the light can find refuge beneath its trees. Only the darkening ivy climbs, mingled with wilding rose, and cypress, morn and evening, time's black shadow throws. All vacant and unknown, only the dreamer steps from stone to hollow stone where the green moss sleeps, peers at the rivers in its deeps, the eagle lone in the sky, while the dew of evening drips coldly and silently. Would that I could steal into each secret room, would that my sleep-bright eyes could win to the inner gloom. Gaze from its high windows, far down its mouldering walls, where amber-clear still Lethe flows and foaming falls. But ever as I gaze, from slumber soft doth come some touch my stagnant sense to raise to its old earthly home. Fades then that sky serene, and peak of ageless snow, fades to a paling dawn-lit green, my dark château. End of section 24. This recording is in the public domain. Section 25 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Koenig. The Dwelling Place. Deep in a forest where the kestrel screamed, beside a lake of water clear as glass, the time-worn windows of a stone house gleamed, named only Alas. Yet happy as the wild birds in the glades of that green forest, thridding the still air with low, continued, heedless serenades, its heedless people were. The throbbing chords of violin and lute, the luster of lean tapers in dark eyes, fair colors, beauteous flowers, faint-bloomed fruit, made earth seem paradise to them that dwelt within this lonely house. Like children of the gods in lasting peace, they ate, sang, danced, as if each day's carouse need never pause nor cease. Some to the hunt would wend, with hound and horn and clash of silver, beauty, bravery, pride, heeding not one who on white horse upborne with soundless hoofs did ride. Dreamers there were who watched the hours away beside a fountain's foam, and in the sweet of phantom evening, 'neath the night-bird's lay, did loved with loved one meet. All were children. For the long day done, they barred the heavy door against Lightfoot fear, and few words spake, though one known face was gone, yet still seemed hovering near. They heaped the bright fire higher, poured dark wine, and in long revelry dazed the questioning eye, curtained threefold the heart-dismaying shine of midnight streaming by. They shut the dark out from the painted wall, with candles dared the shadow at the door, sang down the faint reiterated call of those who came no more. Yet clear above that portal plain was writ, confronting each at length alone to pass out of its beauty into night star-lit, that word, alas. The Listeners. "Is there anybody there?" said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. And a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. "Is there anybody there?" he said. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf 'neath the starred and leafy sky. For he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. "Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house from the one man left awake. Aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. Time passes. There was naught in the valley but a tower of ivory, its base enwreathed with red flowers that at evening caught the sun's crimson as to ocean low he sped. Lucent and lovely it stood in the morning under a trackless hill, with snows eternal muffling its summit, and silence ineffable. Sighing of solitude, winds from the cold heights haunted its yellowing stone. At noon its shadow stretched athwart cedars whence every bird was flown. Its stair was broken, its starlit walls were fretted, its flowers shone wide at the portal, full-blown and fading, their last faint fragrance gone. And on high in its lantern a shape of the living watched o'er a shoreless sea, from a tower rotting with age and weakness, once lovely as ivory. End of section 25. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 26 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Marmalade Hanna, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/Pirata Radio. Silence. With changeful sound life beats upon the ear, yet, striving for release, the most seductive strings, sweet jargonings, the happiest throats, most easeful, lovely notes, fall back into a veiling silentness. Even mid the rumor of a moving host, blackening the clear green earth, vainly 'gainst that thin wall, the trumpets call, or with loud hum, the smoke-bemuffled drum. From that high quietness no reply comes forth. When, all at peace, two friends at ease alone, talk out their hearts, yet still, between the grace notes of the voice of love, from each to each trembles a rarer speech, and with its presence every pause doth fill. Unmoved it broods, this all-encompassing hush of one who stooping near no smallest stir will make our fear to wake, but yet intent upon some mystery bent, hearkens the lightest word we say or hear. Winter dusk. Dark frost was in the air without. The dusk was still with cold and gloom, when less than even a shadow came and stood within the room. But of the three around the fire, none turned a questioning head to look. Still read a clear voice on and on, still stooped they o'er their book. The children watched their mother's eyes, moving on softly line to line. It seemed to listen to that shade, yet made no outward sign. The fire flames crooned a tiny song. No cold wind moved the wintry tree. The children both in fairy dreamed beside their mother's knee. And nearer yet that spirit drew, above that heedless one intent, only on what the simple words of her small story meant. No voiceless sorrow grieved her mind, no memory her bosom stirred, nor dreamt she as she read to two, 'twas surely three who heard. Yet when the story done she smiled, from face to face serene and clear. A love half dread sprang up as she leaned close and drew them near. The Ghost. Peace in thy hands, peace in thine eyes, peace on thy brow. Flower of a moment in the eternal hour, peace with me now. Not a wave breaks, not a bird calls, my heart like a sea, silent after a storm that hath died, sleeps within me. All the night's dews, all the world's leaves, all the winter's snow, seem with their quiet to have stilled in life's dream a sorrowing now. An Epitaph. Here lies a most beautiful lady, light of step and heart was she. I think she was the most beautiful lady that ever was in the West Country. But beauty vanishes, beauty passes, however rare, rare it be. And when I crumble, who will remember this lady of the West Country? End of section 26. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Marmalade Hanna, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. hlatitude.wix.com/Pirata Radio.
Section 27 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Hallie Kill. The hawthorn hath a deadly smell. The flowers of the field have a sweet smell, meadow sweet, tansy, thyme, and faint heart pimpernel. But sweeter even than these, the silver of the May, wreathed is with incense for the judgment day. In apple a child dust, when falls the evening rain, wild briars, spiced leaves, breathe memories again. With further memory fraught, the silver of the May, wreathed is with incense for the judgment day. Eyes of all loveliness, shadow of strange delight, even as a flower fades, must thou from sight? But o'er thy grave's mound, till come the judgment day, wreathed shall with incense he thy sharp thorn may. End of section 27. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 28 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Shauna Carey. The Little Salamander. To Margot. When I go free, I think 'twill be a night of stars and snow, and the wild fires of frost shall light my footsteps as I go. Nobody, nobody will be there with groping touch or sight to see me in my bush of hair dance burning through the night. The Linnet. Upon this leafy bush, with thorns and roses in it, flutters a thing of light, a twittering linnet. And all the throbbing world of dew and sun and air by this small parcel of life is made more fair. As if each bramble spray and mounded gold-wreathed furze, harebell and little time, were only hers. As if this beauty and grace did to one bird belong, and, at a flutter of wing, might vanish in song. The Sunken Garden. Speak not, whisper not, here bloweth thyme and bergamot. Softly on the evening hour secret herbs their spices shower. Dark-spiked rosemary and myrrh, lean-stalked purple lavender, hides within her bosom too all her sorrow's bitter rue. Breathe not, trespass not, of this green and darkling spot, latticed from the moon's beams. Perchance a distant dreamer dreams, perchance upon its darkening air the unseen ghosts of children fair, faintly swinging, sway and sweep, like lovely sea-flowers in its deep, while unmoved to watch and ward, amid its gloomed and daisied sward, stands with bowed and dewy head that one little leaden lad. Section 28 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Shauna Carey. End of Section 28. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 29 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Sean Daly. The Riddlers. "Thou solitary!" the blackbird cried. "I from the happy wren, linnet and blackcap, woodlark, thrush, perched all upon a sweetbriar bush, have come at cold of midnight tide, to ask thee, why and when grief smote thy heart so thou dost sing in solemn hush of evening, so sorrowfully lovelorn thing. Nay, nay, not sing, but rave, but wail, most melancholic nightingale. Do not the dews of darkness steep all pinings of the day in sleep? Why then, when rocked in starry nest, we mutely couch, secure at rest, doth thy lone heart delight to make music for sorrow's sake? A moon was there, so still her beam, it seemed the whole world lay in dream, lulled by the watery sea. And from her leafy night-hung nook, upon the stranger soft did look the nightingale. Sighed he, "'Tis strange, my friend, the kingfisher but yestermorn conjured me here, out of his green and gold to say, why thou, in splendor of the noon, wearest of color but golden shoon, and else dost thee array in a most sombre suit of black. Surely," he sighed, "some load of grief, past all our thinking and belief, must weigh upon his back. Do then in turn tell me, if joy thy heart as well as voice employ, why dost thou now most sable shine in plumage wofuller far than mine? Thy silence is a sadder thing than any dirge I sing. Thus then these two small birds perched there breathed a strange riddle both did share, yet neither could expound, and we, who sing but as we can, In the small knowledge of a man, have we an answer found? Nay, some are happy whose delight is hid even from themselves from sight, and some win peace who spend the skill of words to sweeten despair, of finding consolation where life has but one dark end, who in rapt solitude tell o'er a tale as lovely as forelore into the midnight air. Moonlight. The far moon maketh lovers wise, in her pale beauty trembling down, lending curved cheeks, dark lips, dark eyes, a strangeness not her own. And though they shut their lids to kiss, in starless darkness peace to win, even on that secret world from this, her twilight enters in. The Blind Boy. I have no master, said the blind boy, my mother Dame Venus they do call. Cowled in this hood she sent me begging, for whate'er in pity may befall. Hard was her visage, me adjuring, have no fond mercy on the kind. Here be sharp arrows bunched in quiver, draw close ere striking, thou art blind. So stand I here, my woes entreating, in this dark alley, lest the moon point with her sparkling my barbed armory, shine on my silver lace shoon. O sir, unkind this dame to me ward, of the salt billow was her birth. In your sweet charity draw nearer the saddest rogue on earth. End of section 29. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Sean Daly.
Section 30 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer, Mumbai. The Quarry. You hunted me with all the pack, too blind to see. By no wild hope of force or greed could you make sure of me. And like a phantom through the glades with tender breast aglow, the goddess in me laughed to hear your horns a roving go. She laughed to think no mortal ever by dint of mortal flesh the very cause that was the hunt one moment could enmesh. That though with captive limbs I lay, stilled breath and vanquished eyes, he that hunts love with horse and hound hunts out his heart and eyes. Mrs. Grundy. Step very softly, sweet quiet foot, stumble not, whisper not, smile not. By this dark ivy stoop, cheek and brow, still even thy heart, what seest thou? High-coiffed, broad-browed, aged, suave, yet grim, a large flat face, eyes keenly dim, staring at nothing, that's me. And yet, with a hate one could never, no, never forget. This is my world, my garden, my home. Hither my father bade mother to come, and bear me out of the dark into light, and happy I was in her tender sight. And then, thou frail flower, she died and went, forgetting my pitiless banishment, and that old woman, an aunt, she said, came hither, lodged, fattened, and made her bed. Oh yes, thou most blessed, from Monday to Sunday, hast lived on me, preyed on me, Mrs. Grundy, called me dear nephew, on each of those chairs hast gloated in righteousness, heard my prayers. Why didst thou dare the thorns of the grove, timidest trespasser, huntress of love? Now thou hast peeped, and now dost know what kind of creature is thine for foe. Not that she'll tear out thy innocent eyes, poison thy mouth with deviltries. Watch thou, wait thou. Soon will begin the guile of a voice. Hark! Come in, come in! The tryst. Flee into some forgotten night, and be of all dark long my moon-bright company. Beyond the rumour even of paradise come, there, out of all remembrance, make our home. Seek we some close-hid shadow for our lair, hollowed by Noah's mouse beneath the chair, wherein the omnipotent, in slumber bound, nods till the piteous trump of judgment sound. Perchance Leviathan of the deep sea would lease a lost mermaiden's grot to me. There of your beauty we would joyance make, a music wistful for the sea nymph's sake. Haply Elijah, o'er his spokes of fire, cresting steep Leo or the heavenly lyre, spied, tranced in azure of inernest space, some eerie hostel, meet for human grace, where two might happy be, just you and I, lost in the uttermost of eternity. Think! In time's smallest clock's minutest beat, might there not rest be found for wandering feet? Or, twixt the sleep and wake of Helen's dream, silence wherein to sing love's requiem? No, no, nor earth, nor air, nor fire, nor deep could lull poor mortal longingness asleep. Somewhere then nothing is, and there lost man shall win what changeless vague of peace he can. Alone. The abode of the nightingale is bare, flowered frost congeals in the gelid air. The fox howls from his frozen lair. Alas, my loved one is gone. I am alone. It is winter. Once the pink cast a winy smell. The wild bee hung in the hyacinth bell. Light and effulgence of beauty fell. Alas, my loved one is gone. I am alone. It is winter. My candle a silent fire doth shed. Starry Orion hunts overhead. Come moth, come shadow, the world is dead. Alas, my loved one is gone. I am alone. It is winter. The empty house. See this house, how dark it is beneath its vast boughed trees. Not one trembling leaflet cries to that watcher in the skies. Remove, remove thy searching gaze, innocent of heaven's ways. Brood not, moon, so wildly bright, on secrets hidden from sight. Secrets, sighs the night wind. Vacancy is all I find. Every keyhole I have made wails a summons, faint and sad. No voice ever answers me, only vacancy. Once, once, the cricket shrills, and far and near the quiet fills with its tiny voice, and then, hush, falls again. Mute shadows creeping slow, mark how the hours go. Every stone is mouldering slow, and the least winds that blow some minutest atom shake, some fretting ruin make in roof and walls. How black it is beneath these thick boughed trees. End of section 30. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Section 31 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Greborn. Mistress Fell. Whom seek you here, sweet Mistress Fell? One who loved me passing well. Dark his eye, wild his face. Stranger, if in this lonely place bides such an one, then prithee say I am come here to-day. Many his like, Mistress Fell. I did not look, so cannot tell. Only this I surely know, when his voice called me, I must go. Touched me his fingers, and my heart leapt at the sweet pain's smart. Why did he leave you, Mistress Fell? Magic laid its dreary spell. Stranger, he was fast asleep. Into his dream I tried to creep, called his name, soft was my cry, he answered not one sigh. The flower and the thorn are here, falleth the night dew cold and clear. Out of her bower the bird replies, mocking the dark with ecstasies. See how the earth's green grass doth grow, praising what sleeps below. Thus have they told me, and I come, as flies the wounded wild bird home. Not tears I give, but all that he clasped in his arms, sweet charity. All that he loved to him I bring for a close whispering. End of Mistress Fell. The Ghost. Who knocks? I, who was beautiful, beyond all dreams to restore. I, from the roots of the dark thorn, am hither, and knock on the door. Who speaks? I, once was my speech sweet as the birds on the air, when echo lurks by the waters to heed. 'Tis I speak thee fair. Dark is the hour, aye, and cold. Lone is my house, ah, but mine. Sight, touch, lips, eyes yearned in vain. Long dead these to thine. Silence, still faint on the porch. Break the flames of the stars. In gloom groped a hope-wearied hand over keys, bolts, and bars. A face peered. All the grey night in cares of vacancy shone. Naught but vast sorrow was there, the sweet cheat gone. End of The Ghost. The Stranger. In the woods as I did walk, dappled with the moon's beam, I did with a stranger talk, and his name was Dream. Spurred his heel, dark his cloak, shady wide his bonnet's brim. His horse beneath a silvery oak grazed as I talked with him. Softly his breast brooch burned and shone. Hill and deep were in his eyes. One of his hands held mine, and one the fruit that makes men wise. Wondrously strange was earth to see. Flowers white as milk did gleam. Spread to heaven the Assyrian tree, over my head with dream. Dews were still betwixt us twain, stars a trembling beauty shed, yet not a whisper comes again of the words he said. End of The Stranger. End of section 31. This recording is in the public domain. Recorded by Greebonjorn.
Section 32 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer, Mumbai. Betrayal. She will not die, they say. She will but put her beauty by and hie away. Oh, but her beauty gone, how lonely then will seem all reverie, how black to me! All things will sad be made, and every hope a memory, all gladness dead. Ghosts of the past will know my weakest hour, and whisper to me, and coldly go. And hers in deep of sleep, clothed in its mortal beauty, I shall see, and waking weep. Not will my mind then find in man's false heaven my peace to be, all blind and blind. The Cage. Why did you flutter in vain hope, poor bird, hard pressed in your small cage of clay? 'Twas but a sweet false echo that you heard, caught only a feint of day. Still is the night all dark, a homeless dark, burn yet the unanswering stars. And silence brings the same sea's desolate surge, some bound or mark of all your wanderings. Fret now no more, be still. Those steadfast eyes, those folded hands, they cannot set you free. Only with beauty wake wild memories. Sorrow for where you are, for where you would be. The Revenant. Oh, all ye fair ladies, with your colours and your graces, and your eyes clear in flame of candle and hearth, toward the dark of this old window lift not up your smiling faces, where a shade stands forlorn from the cold of the earth. God knows I could not rest for one I still was thinking of. Like a rose sheathed in beauty, her spirit was to me. Now out of unforgottenness a bitter draught I'm drinking of. 'Tis sad of such beauty unremembered to be. Men all shades, O woman, winds wist not of the way they blow. Apart from your kindness, life's at best but a snare. Though a tongue now past praise this bitter thing doth say, I know what solitude means, and how, homeless, I fare. Strange, strange are ye all, except in beauty shared with her. Since I seek one I loved, yet was faithless too in death. Not life enough I heaped, so thus my heart must fare with her, now wrapped in the gross clay, bereft of life's breath. Music. When music sounds, gone is the earth I know, and all her lovely things even lovelier grow. Her flowers in vision flame, her forest trees lift burdened branches, stilled with ecstasies. When music sounds, out of the water rise naiads whose beauty dims my waking eyes. Wrapped in strange dreams burns each enchanted face, with solemn echoing stirs their dwelling place. When music sounds, all that I was, I am. Ere to this haunt of brooding dust I came. While from time's woods break into distant song the swift-winged hours as I hasten along. The Remonstrance. I was at peace until you came and set a careless mind aflame. I lived in quiet, cold content, or longing in safe banishment, until your ghostly lips and eyes make wisdom unwise. Naught was in me to tempt your feet to seek a lodging. Quite forgot lay the sweet solitude we two in childhood used to wander through. Time's cold had closed my heart about and shut you out. Well, and what then? O vision grave, take all the little, all I have. Strip me of what in voiceless thought life's kept of life, unhoped, unsought. Reverie and dream that memory must hide deep in dust. This only I say, though cold and bare the haunted house you have chosen to share, still 'neath its walls the moonbeam goes and trembles on the untended rose. Still o'er its broken roof-tree rise the starry arches of the skies, and in your lightest word shall be the thunder of an ebbing sea. End of section 32. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Section 33 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Lucretia B. The Disguise. Why in my heart, O grief, dost thou in beauty hide? Dead is my well content, and buried deep my pride. Cold are their stones, beloved, to hand and side. The shadows of even are gone, shut are the day's clear flowers. Now have her birds left mute their singing bowers. Lone shall we be, we twain, in the night hours. Thou with thy cheek on mine, and dark hair loosed, shall see, take the far stars for fruit, the cypress tree. and in the yews black shall the moon be. We will tell no old tales, nor heed if in wandering air die a lost song of love or the once fair. Still as well water be the thoughts we share, and while the ghosts keep tryst from chill sepulchres, dreamless our gaze shall sleep, and sealed our ears. Heart unto heart will speak without tears. O thy veiled lovely face, joy's strange disguise, shall be the last to fade from these rapt eyes, ere the first dart of daybreak pierce the skies. Vain questioning. What needest thou? A few brief hours of rest, wherein to seek thyself in thine own breast? A transient silence, wherein truth could say, such was thy constant hope, and this thy way? O burden of life, that is a livelong tangle of perplexities! What seekest thou? A truce from that thou art? Some steadfast refuge from a fickle heart? Still to be thou, and yet no thing of scorn, to find no stay here, and yet not forlorn? O riddle of life, that is an endless war 'twixt contrarieties! Leave this vain questioning. Is not sweet the rose? Sings not the wild bird ere to rest he goes? Hath not in miracle brave June returned? Burns not her beauty as of old it burned? O foolish one to roam so far in thine own mind away from home! Where blooms the flower when her petals fade, where sleepeth echo by earth's music made, where all things transient to the changeless win, there waits the peace thy spirit dwelleth in. Vigil. Dark is the night, the fire burns faint and low. Hours, days, years, into gray ashes go. I strive to read, but sombre is the glow. Thumbed are the pages, and the print is small, mocking the winds that from the darkness call. Feeble the fire that lends its light withal. O ghost, draw nearer, let thy shadowy hair blot out the pages that we cannot share. Be ours the one last leaf by fate left bare. Let's finis scrawl, and then life's book put by. Turn each to each in all simplicity, ere the last flame is gone to warm us by. The Old Men. Old and alone sit we, caged, riddle-rid men, lost to earth's listen and see, thoughts wherefore and when. Only far memories stray of a past once lovely, but now wasted and faded away, like green leaves from the bough. Vast broods the silence of night. The ruinous moon lifts on our faces her light, whence all dreaming is gone. We speak not, trembles each head. In their sockets our eyes are still, desire as cold as the dead, without wonder or will. And one with a lantern draws near, at clash with the moon in our eyes. Where art thou? he asks. I am here. One by one we arise. and none lifts a hand to withhold a friend from the touch of that foe. Heart cries unto heart, thou art old, yet, reluctant, we go. End of Section 33. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 34 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Guy Bonjourne. The Dreamer. O thou who giving helm and sword gavest to the rusting rain, and starry dark all tender dews, to blunt and stain, out of the battle I am sped, unharmed yet stricken sore, a living shape amid whispering shades on Lethe's shore. No trophy in my hands I bring to this sad sighing stream, the neighings and the trumps and cries were but a dream. Traitor to life, of life betrayed, oh, of thy mercy deep, a dream my all, the all I ask is sleep. End of The Dreamer. Motley. Come death, I'd have a word with thee, and thou, poor innocency, and love, a lad with broken wing, and pity too, the fool shall sing to you, as fools will sing. Ay, music hath small sense, and a tune soon told, and earth is old, and my poor wits are dense, yet have I secrets dark, my dear, to breathe you all. Come near. Unless some hideous listener tells, I'll ring my bells. They are all at war. Yes, yes, their bodies go 'neath burning sun and icy star to chaunted songs of woe, dragging cold cannon through a mire of rain and blood and spouting fire. The new moon glinting hard on eyes wide with insanities. Hush! I use words I hardly know the meaning of, and the mute birds are glancing at love from out their shade of leaf and flower, trembling at treacheries which even in noonday cower. Heed, heed not what I said of frenzied hosts of men, more fools than I, on envy, hatred fed, who kill and die. Spake I not plainly then? Yet pity whispered, Why? Thou silly thing, off to thy daisies go. Mine was not news for child to know, and death no ears hath. He hath supped where creep eyeless worms in hush of sleep. Yet when he smiles the hand he draws athwart his grinning jaws. Faintly the thin bones rattle, and there, hearken how my bells in the air drive away care. Nay, but a dream I had of a world all mad, not simply happy mad like me, who am mad like an empty scene of water and willow tree, where the wind hath been, but that foul Satan mad, who rots in his own head and counts the dead, not honest one and two, but for the ghost they were, brave, faithful, true, when head in air, in earth's clear green and blue, heaven they did share with beauty who bade them there. There now, death goes, mayhap I've wearied him, aye, and the light doth dim, and asleep's the rose, and tired innocence in dream is hence. Come, love, my lad, nodding that drowsy head, 'tis time thy prayers were said. End of Motley. The Marionettes. Let the foul scene proceed. There's laughter in the wings. 'Tis sawdust that they bleed, but a box death brings. How rare a skill is theirs, these extreme pangs to show, how real a frenzy wears each feigner of woe. Gigantic dins uprise, even the gods must feel a smarting of the eyes as these fumes upswell. Strange such a piece is free, while we spectators sit, aghast at its agony, yet absorbed in it. Dark is the outer air, cold the night draughts blow, mutely we stare and stare at the frenzied show, yet heaven hath its quiet shroud of deep, immutable blue. We cry, "An end!" We are bowed by the dread, "'Tis true!" While the shape who hooves applause behind our deafened ear hoots, angel-wise, "The cause!" and affright even fear. End of section 34. This recording is in the public domain. Read by Greeborn John.
Section 35 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Greg Giordano. To E.T., 1917. You sleep too well, too far away, for sorrowing word to soothe or wound. Your very quiet seems to say how longed for a peace you have found. Else had not death so lured you on, you would have grieved 'twixt joy and fear, to know how my small loving son had wept for you, my dear. April Moon. Roses are sweet to smell and see, and lilies on the stem, but rarer, stranger buds there be, and she was like to them. The little moon that April brings, more lovely shade than light, that setting silvers lonely hills upon the verge of night, close to the world of my poor heart, so stole she still and clear. Now that she's gone, oh dark and dark, the solitude, the fear. The Fool's Song. Never, no never, listen too long to the chattering wind in the willow, the night bird's song. 'Tis sad in sooth to lie under the grass, but none too gladsome to wake and grow cold where life's shadows pass. Dumb the old toll woman squats, and for every green copper battered and worn doles out nevers and nots. I know a blind man, too, who with a sharp ear listens, and listens the whole world through. Oh, sit we snug to our feast, with platter and finger and spoon, and good victuals at least. Clear Eyes. Clear eyes do dim at last, and cheeks outlive their rose. Time, heedless of the past, no loving kindness knows. Chill unto mortal lip, still lethe flows grief's too, but brief while stay, and sorrow, being o'er, its salt tears shed away. Woundeth the heart no more, stealthily lave those waters, that solemn shore. Ah, then, sweet face, burn on, while yet quick memory lives, and sorrow, ere thou art gone, know that my heart forgives. Ere yet, grown cold in peace, it grieves. Dust to dust. Heavenly archer, bend thy bow, now the flame of life burns low. Youth is gone, I too would go. Even fortune leads to this. Harsh or kind, at last she is, murderess of all ecstasies of a bliss foregone. Sleep is well for dreamless head, at no breath astonished. From the gardens of the dead I the immortal harps hear ring, by Babylon's river languishing. Heavenly archer, loose thy string. End of section 35. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Greg Giordano, Newport Richey, Florida. Section 36 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Greg Giordano. The Three Strangers. Far are those tranquil hills, dyed with fair evening's rose. On urgent, secret errand bent, a traveller goes. Approach him, strangers three, barefooted, cowled, their eyes scan the lone, hastening solitary with dumb surmise. One instant in close speech with them he doth confer. God sped, he hasteneth on, that anxious traveller. I was that man, in a dream, and each world's night in vain. I patient wait on sleep to unveil those vivid hills again. Would that they three could know how yet burns on in me love from one lost in paradise for their grave courtesy. Alexander. It was the great Alexander, capped with a golden helm, sate in the ages in his floating ship, in a dead calm. Voices of sea maids singing wandered across the deep. The sailors laboring on their oars rowed as in sleep. All the high pomp of Asia, charmed by that siren lay, out of their weary and dreaming minds faded away. Like a bold boy sate their captain, his glamour withered and gone in the souls of his brooding mariners, while the song pined on. Time, like a falling dew, life, like the scene of a dream, laid between slumber and slumber, only did seem. O Alexander, then, and all us mortals too, wax thou not bold, too bold, on the wave dark blue. Come the calm, infinite night, who then will hear aught save the singing of the sea maids clear? The Reawakening. Green and light are the hills, and a calm wind flowing filleth the void with a flood of the fragrance of spring. Wings in this mansion of life are coming and going, voices of unseen loveliness carol and sing. Colored with buds of delight, the boughs are swaying. Beauty walks in the woods, and wherever she rove, flowers from wintry sleep, her enchantment obeying, stir in the deep of her dream, reawaken to love. Oh, now begone, sullen care, this light is my seeing. I am the palace, and mine are its windows and walls. Daybreak is come, and life from the darkness of being springs like a child from the womb when the lonely one calls. The Vacant Day. As I did walk in meadows green, I heard the summer noon resound with call of myriad things unseen that leapt and crept upon the ground. High overhead the windless air throbbed with the homesick coursing cry of swallows that did everywhere wake echo in the sky. Beside me, too, clear waters coursed, which willow branches, lapsing low, breaking their crystal, gliding forced to sing as they did flow. I listened, and my heart was dumb with praise no language could express, longing in vain for him to come who had breathed such blessedness on this fair world wherein we pass, so checkered and so brief a stay, and yearned in spirit to learn, alas, what kept him still away. End of section 36. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Greg Giordano, Newport Richey, Florida.
Section number 37 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox by Guy Bourgeon. The Flight. How do the days press on, and lay their fallen locks at evening down, whiles the stars in darkness play, and moonbeams weave a crown of flower-like light in heaven, where in the hollow arc of space Morn's mistress dreams, and the Pleiads seven stand watch about her place. Stand watch, O days no number keep, of hours when this dark clay is blind, when the world's clocks are dumb in sleep, 'tis then I seek my kind. For all the grief I have given with words, may now a few clear flowers blow in the dust and the heat and the silence of birds, where the lonely go. For the thing unsaid that heart asked of me be a dark, cool water calling to the footsore benighted, solitary, when the shadows are falling. Oh, be beauty for all my blindness, a moon in the air where the weary wend, and the dews burdened with loving kindness in the dark of the end. The Scribe. What lovely things thy hand hath made, the smooth-plumed bird in its emerald shade, the seed of the grass, the speck of stone, which the wayfaring ant stirs and hastens on. Though I should sit by some tarn in the hills, using its ink and the spirit wills to write of earth's wonders, its live-willed things, flit would the ages on soundless wings. Ere unto thee my pen drew nigh, Leviathan told, and the honey fly, and still would remain my wit to try, my worn reeds broken, the dark tarn dry, all words forgotten, thou, Lord, and I. Farewell. When I lie where shades of darkness shall no more assail mine eyes, nor the rain make lamentation when the wind sighs, how will fare the world whose wonder was the very proof of me? Memory fades, must the remembered perishing be? Oh, when this my dust surrenders, hand, foot, lip, to dust again, may these loved and loving faces please other men, may the rustling harvest hedgerow still the traveller's joy entwine, and as happy children gather posies once mine. Look thy last on all things lovely every hour, let no night seal thy sense in deathly slumber. Still to delight thou have paid thy utmost blessing, since that all things thou wouldst praise, beauty took from those who loved them in other days. End of section 37. This recording is in the public domain. Recorded by Guy Bourgeon.
Section 38 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Titus E. Garnett. Sleepyhead. As I lay awake in the white moonlight, I heard a faint singing in the wood. Out of bed, sleepyhead, put your white foot now. Here are we beneath the tree, singing round the root now. I looked out of window in the white moonlight. The leaves are like snow in the wood. Come away, child, and play. Light with the gnomies in a mound, green and round. That's where their home is. Honey sweet, curds to eat, cream and frumenty, shells and beads, poppy seeds, you shall have plenty. But as soon as I stooped in the dim moonlight to put on my stocking and my shoe, the sweet shrill singing echoed faintly away, and the gray of the morning peeped through. And instead of the gnomies there came a red robin to sing of the buttercups and dew. End of poem. Bluebells. Where the bluebells and the wind are, fairies in a ring I spied, and I heard a little linnet singing near beside. Where the primrose and the dew are, soon were sped the fairies all, only now the green turf freshens, and the linnets call. End of poem. Lovelocks. I watched the Lady Caroline bind up her dark and beauteous hair. Her face was rosy in the glass, and twixt the coils her hands would pass. White in the candle shine, her bottles on the tables lay, stoppered yet sweet of violet. Her image in the mirror stooped to view those locks as lightly looped as cherry boughs in May. The snowy night lay dim without. I heard the waits their sweet song sing. The window smoldered keen with frost, yet still she twisted, sleeked, and tossed her beauteous hair about. End of poem. End of section 38. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 39 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer, Mumbai. Tartary. If I were lord of Tartary, myself and me alone, my bed should be of ivory, of beaten gold my throne. And in my court would peacocks flaunt, and in my forests tigers haunt, and in my pools great fishes slant their fins athwart the sun. If I were lord of Tartary, trumpeters every day to every meal should summon me, and in my courtyard bray. And in the evening lamps would shine, yellow as honey, red as wine, while harp and flute and mandolin made music sweet and gay. If I were lord of Tartary, I'd wear a robe of beads, white and gold and green they'd be, enclustered thick as seeds. And ere should wane the morning star, I'd don my robe and scimitar, and zebras 7 should draw my car through Tartary's dark glades. Lord of the fruits of Tartary, her rivers silver pale, Lord of the hills of Tartary, glen, thicket, wood, and dale. Her flashing stars, her scented breeze, her trembling lakes like foamless seas, her bird-delighting citron trees, in every purple vale. The buckle. I had a silver buckle, I sewed it on my shoe, and 'neath a sprig of mistletoe I danced the evening through. I had a bunch of cowslips, I hid them in a grot, in case the elves should come by night, and me remember not. I had a yellow riband, I tied it in my hair, that, walking in the garden, the birds might see it there. I had a secret laughter, I laughed it near the wall, only the ivy and the wind may tell of it at all. The hare. In the black furrow of a field, I saw an old witch hare this night, and she cocked a lissom ear, and she eyed the moon so bright, and she nibbled of the green, and I whispered, "Psst, witch hare!" Away like a ghostie o'er the field, she fled, and left the moonlight there. Bunches of grapes. Bunches of grapes, says Timothy. Pomegranates pink, says Elaine. A junket of cream and a cranberry tart for me, says Jane. Love in a mist, says Timothy. Primroses pale, says Elaine. A nosegay of pinks and mignonette for me, says Jane. Chariots of gold, says Timothy. Silvery wings, says Elaine. A bumpety ride in a wagon of hay for me, says Jane. End of section 39. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Section 40 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Titus E. Garnett. John Mouldy. I spied John Mouldy in his cellar, deep down 20 steps of stone. In the dusk he sat a-smiling, smiling there alone. He read no book, he snuffed no candle. The rats ran in, the rats ran out. As far and near the drip of water went whispering about. The dust was still and the dew a-falling. I saw the dark star bleak and grim. I saw a slim brown rat of Norway creep over him. I spied John Mouldy in a cellar, deep down 20 steps of stone. In the dusk he sat a-smiling, smiling there alone. End of recording. The Fly. How large unto the tiny fly must little things appear. A rosebud like a feather bed is prickled like a spear. A dewdrop like a looking glass, a hair like golden wire, the smallest grain of mustard seed as fierce as coals of fire. A loaf of bread, a lofty hill, a wasp, a cruel leopard, and specks of salt as bright to see as lambskins to a shepherd. End of recording. Song. Oh, for a moon to light me home, oh, for a lanthorn green, for those sweet stars the Pleiades that glitter in the darkling trees. Oh, for a lovelorn taper, oh, for a lanthorn green, oh, for a frock of tartan, oh, for clear, wild gray eyes, for fingers lit as violets neath branches that the blackbirds fret. Oh, for a thirsty meadow, oh, for a clear, wild gray eyes, oh, for a heart like almond boughs, oh, for sweet thoughts like rain, oh, for first love like fields of gray shed April's buds at break of day, oh, for a sleep like music, dreams still as rain. End of recording. I saw 3 witches. I saw 3 witches that bowed down like barley and straddled their brooms beneath the luring sky, and mounting a storm cloud aloft on its margins, stood black in the silver as up they did fly. I saw 3 witches that mocked the poor sparrows they carried in cages of wicker along, till a hawk from its eyrie swooped down like an arrow, smote on the cages and ended their song. I saw 3 witches that sailed in a shallop, and all turning their heads with a snickering smile, till a bank of green osiers concealed their grim faces, though I heard them lamenting for many a mile. I saw 3 witches asleep in a valley, their heads in a row like stones in a flood, till the moon creeping toward looked white through the valley and turned them to bushes in bright scarlet bud. End of recording. End of section 40. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 41 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The Silver Penny. Sailor man, I'll give to you my bright silver penny, if out to sea you'll sail me and my dear sister Jenny.
Get in, young sir, I'll sail ye and your dear sister Jenny, but pay she shall her golden locks instead of your penny.
They sail away, oh fierce the winds blew, the foam flew in clouds, and dark the night grew, and all the wild sea water climbed steep into the boat. Back to the shore again sail they not. Drowned is the sailor man, drowned is sweet Jenny, and drowned in the deep sea a bright silver penny. The Rainbow. I saw the lovely arch of rainbow span the sky, the gold sun burning as the rain swept by. In bright ringed solitude the showery foliage shone one lovely moment, and the bow was gone. The Fairies Dancing. I heard along the early hills, ere yet the lark was risen up, ere yet the dawn with firelight fills the night dew of the bramble cup. I heard the fairies in a ring sing as they tripped a lilting round, soft as the moon on wavering wing. The starlight shook as if with sound, as if with echoing, and the stars pranked their bright eyes with trembling gleams, while red with war the gusty Mars rained upon the earth his ruddy beams. He shone alone, low down the west, while I, behind a hawthorn bush, watched on the fairies' flaxen tressed the fires of the morning flush, till as a mist their beauty died, their singing shrill and fainter grew, and daylight tremulous and wide flooded the moorland through and through, till Erden's copper weathercock was reared in golden flame afar, and dim from moonlit dreams awoke the towers and graves of Aurora. Reverie. When slim Sophia mounts her horse and paces down the avenue, it seems an inward melody she paces to. Each narrow hoof is lifted high beneath the dark and clustering pines. A silver ray within his bit and bridle shines. His eyes burn deep, his tail is arched, and streams upon the shadowy air. The daylight sleeks his jetty flanks, his mistress' hair. Her habit flows in darkness down, upon the stirrup rests her foot. Her brow is lifted as if earth she heeded not. 'Tis silent in the avenue, the sombre pines are mute of song. The blue is dark, there moves no breeze the boughs among. When slim Sophia mounts her horse and paces down the avenue, it seems an inward melody she paces to. End of section 41. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 42 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Claire. The Three Beggars. 'Twas autumn daybreak, gold and wild, while past St. Anne's grey tower they shuffled. Three beggars spied a fairy child, in crimson mantle muffled. The daybreak lighted up her face, all pink and sharp and emerald-eyed. She looked on them a little space, and shrill as hautboy cried, "O three tall footsore men of rags, which walking this gold morn I see, what will ye give me from your bags for fairy kisses three?" The first, that was a reddish man, out of his bundle takes a crust. "La, by the tombstones of St. Anne, there's fee, a fee you must." The second, that was a chestnut man, out of his bundle draws a bone. "Lo, by the belfry of St. Anne, and all my breakfast gone." The third, that was a yellow man, out of his bundle picks a groat. "La, by the angel of St. Anne, and I must go without." That changeling, lean and icy lipped, touched crust and bone and groat, and lo, beneath her finger taper tipped, the magic all ran through. Instead of crust, a peacock pie; instead of bone, sweet venison; instead of groat, a white lily with 7 blooms thereon. And each fair cup was deep with wine. Such was the changeling's charity. The sweet feast was enough for 9, but not too much for 3. O toothsome meat in jelly froze! O tender haunch of elfin stag! O rich the odor that arose! O plump with scraps each bag! There in the daybreak golden wild, each merry-hearted beggar man drank deep unto the fairy child, and blessed the good St. Anne. The Dwarf. "Now, Jinny, my dear, to the dwarf be off, that lives in Barberry Wood, and fetch me some honey, but be sure you don't laugh. He hates little girls that are rude. He hates little girls that are rude." Jane tapped at the door of the house in the wood, and the dwarf looked over the wall. He eyed her so queer, 'twas as much as she could to keep from laughing at all, to keep from laughing at all. His shoes down the passage came clod, 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 and when he opened the door, he croaked so harsh, 'twas as much as she could to keep from laughing the more, to keep from laughing the more. As there, with his bushy red beard he stood, pricked out to double its size, he squinted so cross, 'Twas as much as she could to keep the tears out of her eyes, to keep the tears out of her eyes. He slammed the door and went clod, 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 but while in the porch she bides, he squealed so fierce 'twas as much as she could to keep from cracking her sides, to keep from cracking her sides. He threw a pumpkin over the wall, and melons and apples beside, so thick in the air that to see them all fall, she laughed and laughed till she cried, cried, cried. Jane laughed and laughed till she cried. Down fell her teardrops, a pit, a pat, pat, and red as a rose she grew. "Caw, caw," said the dwarf, "is it crying you're at? It's the very worst thing you could do, do. It's the very worst thing you could do." He slipped like a monkey up into a tree. He shook her down cherries like rain. "See now," says he, cheeping, "a blackbird I be. Laugh, laugh, little Jinny, again, 'gen. Laugh, laugh, little Jinny, again." Ah me, what a strange, what a gladsome duet, from a house in the deeps of a wood. Such shrill and such harsh voices never met yet, a laughing as loud as they could, a laughing as loud as they could. "Come, Jinny, come, dwarf, cock sparrow, and bee, there's a ring gaudy green in the dell. Sing, sing, ye sweet cherubs that flit in the tree. La, who can draw tears from a well, well, who ever drew tears from a well?" Allalvan. The sun is clear of bird and cloud, the grass shines windless, gray and still. In dusky ruin the owl dreams on, the cuckoo echoes on the hill. Yet soft along Allalvan's walks the ghost at noonday stalks. His eyes in shadow of his hat stare on the ruins of his house. His cloak, upfastened with a brooch of faded velvet gray as mouse, brushes the roses as he goes, yet wavers not one rose. The wild birds in a cloud fly up from their sweet feeding in the fruit. The droning of the bees and flies rises gradual as a lute. Is it for fear the birds are flown, and shrills the insect drone? Thick is the ivy over Allalvan, and crisp with summer heat its turf. Far, far across its empty pastures, Allalvan's sands are white with surf, and he himself is gray as the sea, watching beneath an elder tree. All night the fretful, shrill banshee lurks in the ivy's dark festoons, calling forever, over garden and river, through magpie changing of the moons. Allalvan, oh alas, Allalvan, the doom of lone Allalvan. End of section 42. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Claire.
Section 43 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Ellen Preckle. The Peddler. The Peddler. There came a peddler to an evening house. Sweet Lettice from her lattice looking down, wondered what man he was, so curious. His black hair dangled on his tattered gown. Then lifts he up his face with glittering eyes. "What will you buy, sweetheart? Here's honeycomb, and mottled pippins, and sweet mulberry pies, comfits and peaches, snowy cherry bloom, to keep in water for to make night sweet. All that you want, sweetheart, come, taste, and eat." Even with his sugared words returned to her the clear remembrance of a gentle voice. And oh, my child, should ever a flatterer tap with his wares and promise of all joys, and vain sweet pleasures that on earth may be, seal up your ears, sing some old happy song, confuse his magic who is all mockery. His sweets are death, yet still how she doth long but just to taste, then shut the lattice tight, and hide her eyes from the delicious sight. "What must I pay?" she whispered. "Pay?" says he. "Peddler I am, who through this wood to roam. One lock of her hair is gold enough for me, for apple, peach, comfit, or honeycomb." But from her bough a drowsy squirrel cried, "Trust him not, Lettice, trust, oh trust him not." And many another woodland tongue beside rose softly in the silence, "Trust him not." Then cried the peddler in a bitter voice, "What in the thicket is this idle noise?" A late harsh blackbird smote him with her wings, as through the glade dark in the dim she flew. Yet still the pedlar his old burden sings. What, pretty sweetheart, shall I show to you? Here's orange ribands, here's a string of pearls, here's silk of buttercup and pansy glove, a pin of tortoiseshell for windy curls, a box of silver scented sweet with clove. Come now, he says, with dim and lifted face, I pass not often such a lonely place. Pluck not a hair, a hidden rabbit cried, with but one hair he'll steal thy heart away. Then only sorrow shall thy lattice hide. Go in, all honest pedlars come by day. There was dead silence in the drowsy wood. Here's syrup for to lull sweet maids to sleep, and bells for dreams, and fairy wine and food. All day thy heart in happiness to keep. And now she takes the scissors on her thumb. Oh, then no more unto my lattice come. Sad is the sound of weeping in the wood. Now only night is where the pedlar was, and bleak as frost upon a quickling bud his magic steals in darkness. Oh, alas! Why all the summer doth sweet Lettice pine, and ere the wheat is ripe, why lies her gold hidden fresh, new plucked sprigs of eglantine? Why all the morning hath the cuckoo tolled, sad to and fro in green and secret ways, with solemn bells the burden of his days? And in the market place what man is this, who wears a loop of gold upon his breast, stuck heartwise, and whose glassy flatteries take all the townsfolk ere they go to rest? Who, come to buy and gossip, doth his eye remember a face lovely in a wood? O people, hasten, hasten, do not buy his woful wares, the bird of grief doth brood. There where his heart should be, and far away, there mourns long sorrowfulness this happy day. The Ogre. 'Tis moonlight on Trebarwith vale, and moonlight on an ogre keen, who, prowling hungrily through the dale, a lone cottage hath seen, small, with thin smoke ascending up, 3 casements and a door. The ogre eager is to tap, and here seems dainty store. Sweet as a larder to a mouse, so to him staring down seemed the small windowed moonlit house, with jasmine overgrown. He snorted as the billows snort in darkness of the night. Betwixt his lean locks tawny swart, he glowered on the sight. Into the garden sweet with peas he put his wooden shoe, and bending back the apple trees, crept covetously through. Then stooping with a gloating eye, stared through the lattice small, and spied 2 children which did lie asleep against the wall. Into their dreams no shadow fell of his disastrous thumb, groping discreet and gradual across the quiet room. But scarce his nail had scraped the cot wherein these children lay, as if his malice were forgot, it suddenly did stay. For faintly in the ingle nook he heard a cradle song, that rose into his thoughts and woke terror them among. For she who in the kitchen sat, darning by the fire, guileless of what he would be at, sang sweet as wind or wire, Lulay, thou little tiny child, bye bye, lulay, lulee. Jesu in glory meek and mild, this night remember thee. Fiend, witch, and goblin, foul and wild, he deems them smoke to be. Lulay, thou little tiny child, bye bye, lulay, lulee. The ogre lifted up his eyes into the moon's pale ray, and gazed upon her leopard wise, cruel and clear as day. He snarled in gluttony and fear, the wind blows dismally. Jesu, in storm my lambs be near, bye bye, lulay, lulee. And like a ravenous beast which sees the hunter's icy eye, so did this wretch in wrath confess sweet Jesu's mastery. Lightly he drew his greedy thumb from out that casement pale, and strode enormous swiftly home, whinnying down the dale. Dame Hickory. Dame Hickory, Dame Hickory, here's sticks for your fire, furze twigs and oak twigs and beech twigs and briar. But when old Dame Hickory came for to see, she found 'twas the voice of the false fairy. Dame Hickory, here's meat for your broth, goose flesh and hare's flesh and pig's trotters both. But when old Dame Hickory came for to see, she found 'twas the voice of the false fairy. Dame Hickory, here's a wolf at your door, his teeth grinning white, and his tongue wagging sore. Nay, said Dame Hickory, ye false fairy, but a wolf 'twas indeed, and famished was he. Dame Hickory, here's buds for your tomb, bramble and lavender and rosemary bloom. Whist, said Dame Hickory, ye false fairy, ye cry like a wolf, ye do, and trouble poor me. End of Section 43. This recording is in the public domain. Fiend, witch, and goblin, foul and wild, he deems them smoke to be. Lulay, thou little tiny child, bye bye, lulay, lulee. The ogre lifted up his eyes into the Stop.
Section 44 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Greg Giordano. The Pilgrim. Shall we carry now your bundle, you old gray man, over hill and dale and meadow, lighter than an owlet's shadow? We will whirl it through the air, through blue regions shrill and bare, so you may in comfort fare. Shall we carry now your bundle, you old gray man? The Pilgrim lifted up his eyes, and saw three fiends in the skies, stooping o'er that lonely place, evil in form and face. Nay, he answered, leave me, you three wild fiends. Far it is my feet must wander, and my city lieth yonder. I must bear my bundle alone, till the day be done. The fiends stared down with leaden eye, fanning the chill air duskily. 'Twixt their hoods they stoop and cry, shall we smooth the path before you, you old gray man? Sprinkle it green with gilded showers, strew it over with painted flowers, lure bright birds to sing and flit in the honeyed airs of it. Shall we smooth the path before you, gray old man? Oh, 'tis better silence, ye three wild fiends. Footsore am I, faint and weary, dark the way, forlorn and dreary, beaten of wind, torn of briar, smitten of rain, parched with fire. Oh, silence, ye three wild fiends. It seemed a smoke obscured the air, bright lightning quivered in the gloom, and a faint voice of thunder spake, far in the lone hill hollows, come. Then, half in fury, half in dread, the fiends drew closer down and said, nay, thou stubborn fond old man, hearken a while. Thorn and dust and ice and heat, tarry now, sit down and eat. Heat and ice and dust and thorn, stricken, footsore, parched, forlorn, juice of purple grape shall be youth and solace unto thee. Music of tambour, wire, and wind, ease shall bring to heart and mind. Wonderful sweet mouths shall sigh, languishing and lullaby. Turn then, curse the dream that lures thee, turn thee ere too late it be, lest thy three true friends grow weary of comforting thee. The Pilgrim crouches terrified, as stooping hood and glassy face, gloating evil side by side. Terror and hate brood o'er the place. He flings his withered hands on high, with a bitter, breaking cry. Leave me, ye three wild fiends. If I lay me down in slumber, then I lay me down in wrath. If I stir not in dark dreaming, then I wither in my path. If I hear sweet voices singing, 'tis a demon's lullaby, and in hideous storm and terror wake but to die. And even as he spake, on high, Arrows of sunlight pierce the sky, bright stream the rain o'er burning snow. From hill to hill a wondrous bow of color and fire trembled in air, painting its heavenly beauty there. Wild flapped each fiend a bat-like hood against that frightening light, and stood beating the windless rain, and then rose heavy and slow with cowering head, circled in company again, and into darkness fled. Marvellous sweet it was to hear the waters gushing loud and clear. Marvellous happy it was to be alone, and yet not solitary. Oh, out of terror and dark to come in sight of home. The Cage. Lady Jane, O Lady Jane, your hound hath broken bounds again, and chased my timorous deer. Oh, if him I see, that hour he'll dee, my brake shall be his bier. Oh, hoots, lord, speak not so proud to me. My hound, I trow, is fleet and free. He's welcome to your deer. Oh, shoot, shoot you may, he'll gang his way. Your threats we nothing fear. Oh, he's fetched him in, he's laid him low. Drips his life-blood red and slow, darkens his dreary eye. Oh, here is your beast, and now at last my herds in peace shall lie. Oh, in peace, my lord. Oh, mark me well, for what my jolly hound befell. You shall sup 20-fold. Oh, for every tooth of his, in sooth, a stag in pawn I hold. Oh, huntsman and horn shall scour your heaths and coverts lorn, braying 'em shrill and clear. Oh, but lone and still shall lift each hill, each valley wan and sere. Oh, ride up you may, ride down you may, lonely or trooped by night or day. My hound shall haunt you ever, bird, beast, and game shall dread the same, the wild fish of your river. Her cheek burns angry as the rose, her eye with wrath and pity flows. He gazes fierce and round. Oh, dear lord, he says, what loveliness to waste upon a hound. Oh, I'd give my stags, my hills and dales, my stormcocks and my nightingales, to have undone this deed. Oh, for deep beneath my heart is death, which for her love doth bleed. Oh, he wanders up, he wanders down, on foot, a horse, by night and noon. His lands are bleak and drear. Oh, forsook his dales of nightingales, forsook his moors of deer. Oh, forsook his heart, ah me, of mirth. There's nothing gladsome left on earth. All thoughts and dreams seem vain. Oh, save where remote the moonbeams gloat, and sleeps the lovely Jane. Oh, until an even, when lone he went, gnawing his beard in dreariment, lo, from a thicket hidden, lovely as flower, in April hour, steps forth a form unbidden. Get ye now down, my lord, to me, I'm troubled so I'm like to die. She cries 'twixt joy and grief. Oh, my hound is dead, when all is said, but love is past belief. Oh, nights, nights I've lain your lands to see, forlorn and still, and all for me, all for a foolish curse. Oh, now here am I, come out to die, to live unloved is worse. Oh, in faith this lord in that lone dale hears now a sweeter nightingale, and lairs a tenderer deer. Oh, his sorrow goes like mountain snows in waters sweet and clear. Oh, what ghostly hound is this that fleet comes fawning to his mistress's feet, and courses round his master? How swiftly love may grief remove, how happy make disaster. Now here he smells, now there he smells, winding his voice along the dells, till grey flows up the morn. Oh, then hies again to Lady Jane, no longer now forlorn. Oh, aye, as it were a bud did break to loveliness for her love's sake, so she in beauty moving rides at his hand across his land, beloved as well as loving. End of section 44. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Greg Giordano, Newport Richey, Florida.
Section 45 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer, Mumbai. The Phantom. Upstairs in the large closet, child, this side the blue room door, is an old Bible, bound in leather, standing upon the floor. Go with this taper, bring it me, carry it so upon your arm. It is the book on many a sea hath still the waves' alarm. Late the hour, dark the night, the house is solitary. Feeble is the taper's light, to light poor Anne to see. Her eyes are yet with visions bright of sylph and river, flower and fay. Now through a narrow corridor she goes her lonely way. Vast shadows on the heedless walls, gigantic loom, stoop low. Each little hasty footfall calls hollowly to and fro. In the cold solitude her heart remembers sorrowfully white winters when her mother was her loving company. Now in the dark clear glass she sees a taper, mocking hers, a phantom face of light blue eyes, reflecting phantom fears. Around her loom the vacant rooms, wind the upward stairs. She climbs on into a loneliness only her taper shares. Out in the dark a cold wind stirs, at every window sighs. A waning moon peers small and chill from out the cloudy skies, casting faint tracery on the walls. So stony still the house, from cellar to attic rings the shrill squeak of the hungry mouse. Her grandmother is deaf with age. A garden of moonless trees would answer not though she should cry in anguish on her knees, so that she scarce can breathe. So fast her pent-up heart doth beat, when, faint along the corridor, falleth the sound of feet. Sounds lighter than silk slippers make upon a ballroom floor, when sweet violin and cello wake music for twirling feet. Oh, 'neath an old unfriendly roof, what shades may not conceal their faces in the open day, at night abroad to steal? Even her taper seems with fear to languish small and blue. Far in the woods the winter wind runs whistling through. A dreadful cold plucks at each hair, her mouth is stretched to cry, but sudden, with a gush of joy, it narrows to a sigh. It is a phantom child which comes soft through the corridor, singing an old forgotten song this ancient burden bore. Thorn, thorn, I wis, and roses twain, a red rose and a white, stoop in the blossom, be, and kiss a lonely child good night. Swim, fish, sing, bird, and sigh again. I that am lost am lone, bee in the blossom never stirred, locks hid beneath a stone. Her eye was of the azure fire that hovers in wintry flame, her raiment wild and yellow as furs that spouteth out the same. And in her hand she bore no flower, but on her head a wreath of faded flowers that did yet smell sweetly after death. Gloomy with night the listening walls are now that she is gone. Albeit the solitary child no longer seems alone. Fast though her taper dwindles down, heavy and thick the tome, a beauty beyond fear to dim haunts now her alien home. Ghosts in the world, malignant, grim, vex many a wood and glen, and house and pool, the unquiet ghosts of dead and restless men. But in her granny's house the spirit, a child as lone as she, pining for love not found on earth, and dreams again to see. Seated upon her tapestry stool, her fairy book laid by, she gazes into the fire, knowing she has sweet company. The Miller and His Son. A twangling harp for Mary, a silvery flute for John, and now we'll play the livelong day, the Miller and His Son. The Miller went a-walking, all in the forest high. He sees 3 doves a-flitting against the dark blue sky. Says he, "My son, now follow these doves so white and free, that cry above the forest, and surely cry to thee. I go, my dearest father, but oh, I sadly fear, these doves so white will lead me far, and never bring me near." He kisses the Miller, he cries, "A hoop to ye!" And straightway through the forest follows the wood doves 3. There came a sound of weeping to the Miller in his mill. Red roses in a thicket bloomed over near his wheel. 3 stars shone wild and brightly above the forest dim, but never his dearest son returns again to him. The cuckoo shall call cuckoo in vain along the vale, the linnet and the blackbird, the mournful nightingale. The Miller hears and sees not, thinking of his son. His toppling wheel is silent, his grinding done. "You doves so white," he weepeth, "you roses on the tree, you stars that shine so brightly, you shine in vain for me. I bade him follow, follow." He said, "O father dear, these doves so white will lead me far, but never bring me near." A twangling harp for Mary, a silvery flute for John, and now we'll play the livelong day, the Miller and His Son. Down-Adown-Derry. Down-Adown-Derry, sweet Annie Maroon, gathering daisies in the meadows of Doon, hears a shrill piping, elf-like and free, where the waters go brawling in rills to the sea, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. Sweet Annie Maroon through the green grasses peeps softly, and soon spies under green willows a fairy whose song like the smallest of bubbles floats bobbing along, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. Her cheeks were like wine, her eyes in her wee face like water sparks shine. Her niminy fingers her sleep tresses preen, the which in the combing she peeps out in between, singing down-a-down-derry and down-a-down-derry. Shrill, shrill was her tune. Come to my water house, Annie Maroon, come in your dimity, ribbon on head, to wear scilla seaweed and coral instead, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. Lean fish of the sea bring lanthorns for feasting the gay fairy. 'Tis sand for the dancing, a music all sweet in the water-green gloaming for thistle-down feet, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. Sweet Annie Maroon looked large on the fairy, curled wan as the moon, and all the grey ripples to the mill racing by, with harps and with timbrels did ringing reply, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. Sang the fairy of Doon, piercing the heart of sweet Annie Maroon. And lo, when like roses the clouds of the sun faded at dusk, gone was Annie Maroon, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. The daisies are few, frost twinkles powdery in haunts of the dew, and only the robin perched on a thorn can comfort the heart of a father forlorn, singing down-a-down-derry, down-a-down-derry. There's snow in the air, ice where the lily bloomed waxen and fair. He may call o'er the water, cry, cry through the mill, but Annie Maroon, alas, answer never will, singing down-a-down-derry. End of section 45. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Section 46 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter Delamere. Read for LibriVox.org by Claire. The Supper. A wolf he pricks with eyes of fire across the night's o'ercrusted snows. Seeking his prey, he pads his way where Jane benighted goes. Where Jane benighted goes. He curdles the bleak air with ire, ruffling his hoary raiment through. And lo, he sees, beneath the trees, where Jane's light footsteps go. Where Jane's light footsteps go. No hound peals thus in wicked joy. He snaps his muzzle in the snows. His 5-clawed feet do scamper fleet where Jane's bright lanthorn shows. Where Jane's bright lanthorn shows. Now his greed's green doth gaze unseen on a pure face of wilding rose. Her amber eyes, in fear's surprise, watch largely as she goes. Watch largely as she goes. Salt wells his hunger in his jaws. His lust it revels to and fro. Yet small beneath, a soft voice saith, Jane shall in safety go. Jane shall in safety go. He lurched as if a fiery lash had scourged his hide, and through his furious eyes overscanned the skies. But nearer dared not go. But nearer dared not go. He reared like wild Bucephalus. His fangs like spears in him uprose. Even to the town, Jane's flitting gown, he grins on as she goes. He grins on as she goes. In fierce lament, he howls amain. He scampers, marvelling in his throes. What brought him there to sup on air, while Jane unharmed goes? While Jane unharmed goes. The Isle of Lone. 3 dwarfs were there which lived in an isle, and the name of that isle was Lone. And the names of the dwarfs were Alilile, Lallery, Museamone. Alilile was green of een, Lallery light of locks, Museamone was mild of mien, as ewes in April flocks. Their house was small and sweet of the sea, and pale as the Malmsley wine. Their bowls were 3, and their beds were 3, and their nightcaps white were 9. Their beds they were made of the holly wood, their combs of the tortoise's shell. 3 basins of silver in corners there stood, and 3 little ewers as well. Green rushes, lay thick on the floor, for light beamed a gobbet of wax. There were 3 wooden stools for whatever they wore on their humpety-dumpety backs. So each would lie on a drowsy pillow and watch the moon in the sky, and hear the parrot scream to the billow roar reply. Parrots of sapphire and sulphur and amber, scarlet and flame and green, while 5-foot apes did scramble and clamber in the feathery tufted treen. All night long with bubbles a-glisten, the ocean cried under the moon, till ape and parrot too sleepy to listen, to sleep and slumber were gone. Then from 3 small beds the dark hours, while in a house in the island of Lone, rose the snoring of Lallery, Alilile, the snory of Museamone. But soon as ever came peep of the sun on coral and feathery tree. 3 night-capped dwarfs to the surf would run, and soon were a bob in the sea. At 6 they went fishing, at 9 they snared young foxes in the dells. At noon on sweet berries and honey they fared, and blew in their twisted shells. Dark was the sea they gamboled in, and thick with silver fish, dark as green glass, blown clear and thin, to be a monarch's dish. They sate to sup in a jasmine bower, lit pale with flies of fire, their bowls the hue of the iris flower, and lemon their attire. Sweet wine in little cups they sipped, and golden honeycomb into their bowls of cream they dipped, whipped light and white as foam. Now Alilile, where the sandflower blows, taught 3 old apes to sing, taught 3 old apes to dance on their toes and caper around in a ring. They yelled them hoarse and they croaked them sweet, they twirled them about and around, To the noise of their voices they danced with their feet, they stamped with their feet on the ground. But down to the shore skipped Lallery, his parrot on his thumb, and the twain lay scotched in mockery while the dancers go and come. And alas, in the evening, rosy and still, light-haired Lallery bitterly quarrelled with Aliolile by the yellow sanded sea. The rising moon swam sweet and large before their furious eyes, and they rolled and rolled to the coral marge, where the surf for ever cries. Too late, comes Musyamone, clear in the clear green sea. Aliolile lies not alone, but clasped with Lallery. He blows on his shell plaintive notes, ape, paraquito be, flock where a shoe on the salt wave floats, the shoe of Lallery. He fetches nightcaps 1 and 9, grey apes he dowers 3. His house is fair as the Malmsey wine, seems sad as cypress tree. 3 bowls he brims with sweet honeycomb to feast the bumblebees, saying, "O bees, be this your home, for grief is on the seas." He sate him lone in a coral grot, at the flowing in of the tide, when ebbed the billow there was not, save coral, aught beside. So hairy apes in 3 white beds, and nightcaps 1 and 9, on moonlit pillows lay 3 heads, bemused with dwarfish wine. A tomb of coral, the dirge of bee, the grey ape's guttural groan, for Aliolile, for Lallery, for thee, O Musyamone. Sleeping Beauty. The scent of bramble fills the air, and mid her folded sheets she lies, the gold of evening in her hair, the blue of morn shut in her eyes. How many a changing moon hath lit the unchanging roses of her face! Her mirror ever broods on it, in silver stillness of the days. Oft flits the moth on filmy wings, into his solitary lair. Shrill evensong the cricket sings from some still shadow in her hair. In heat, in snow, in wind and flood, she sleeps in lovely loneliness, half folded, like an April bud, on winter-haunted trees. End of section 46. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Claire.
Section 47 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The Horn. Hark! Is that a horn I hear, in cloud-like winding sweet, and bell-like clash of bridle rein, and silver-shod light feet? Is it the elfin laughter of fairies riding faint and high beneath the branches of the moon, straying through the starry sky? Is it in the globed dew such sweet melodies may fall? Wood and valley, all are still, hushed the shepherd's call. Captain Lean. Out of the east a hurricane swept down on Captain Lean. That mariner and gentleman will never again be seen. He sailed his ship against the foes of his own country dear, but now in the trough of the billows an aimless course doth steer. Powder was violets to his nostrils, sweet the din of the fighting line. Now he is flotsam on the seas, and his bones are bleached with brine. The stars move up along the sky, the moon she shines so bright, and in the solitude the foam sparkles unearthly white. This is the tomb of Captain Lean. Would a straiter please his soul? I trow he sleeps in peace, howsoever the billows roll. The Portrait of a Warrior. His brow is seamed with line and scar, his cheek is red and dark as wine, the fires as of a northern star beneath his cap of sable shine. His right hand, bared of leathern glove, hangs open like an iron gin. You stoop to see his pulses move, to hear the blood sweep out and in. He looks some king, so solitary in earnest thought he seems to stand, as if across a lonely sea he gazed impatient of the land. Out of the noisy centuries the foolish and the fearful fade. Yet burn unquenched these warrior eyes. Time hath not dimmed, nor death dismayed. Haunted. From out the wood I watched them shine, the windows of the haunted house, now ruddy as enchanted wine, now dark as flittermouse. There went a thin voice piping airs along the grey and crooked walks, a garden of thistledown and tares, bright leaves and giant stalks. The twilight rain shone at its gates, where long-leaved grass in shadow grew, and black in silence to her mates a voiceless raven flew. Lichen and moss the lone stones greened, green paths led lightly to its door. Keen from her hair the spider leaned, and dusk to darkness wore. Amidst the sedge a whisper ran. The west shut down a heavy eye, and like last tapers few and wan, the watch-stars kindled in the sky. The Raven's Tomb. "Build me my tomb," the raven said, "within the dark yew tree, so in the autumn yew berries sad lamps may burn for me. Summon the haunted beetle from twilight bud and bloom to drone a gloomy dirge for me at dusk above my tomb. Beseech ye too the glowworm to rear her cloudy flame, where the small flickering bats resort, whistling in tears my name. Let the round dew a whisper make, welling on twig and thorn, and only the gray cock at night call through his silver horn. And you, dear sisters, don your black for ever and a day, to show how true a raven in his tomb is laid away." End of section 47. This recording is in the public domain. Section 48 of Collected Poems, 1901 to 1918, by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The Christening. The bells chime clear. Soon will the sun behind the hill sink down. Come, little Anne, your baby brother dear lies in his christening gown. His godparents are all across the fields stepped on before, and wait beneath the crumbling monuments this side the old church door. Your mammy dear leans frail and lovely on your daddy's arm, watching her chick twixt happiness and fear, lest she should come to harm, all to be blessed. Full soon in the clear heavenly water he sleeps, unwitting of it, his little breast heaving so tenderly. I carried you, my little Anne, long since on this same quest, and from the painted windows a pale hue lit golden on your breast. And then you woke, chill as the holy water trickled down, and weeping cast the window a strange look, half smile, half infant frown. I scarce could hear the shrill lark singing in the green meadows. 'Twas summertide, and the budding far and near, the hedges thick with rose. And now you're grown, a little girl, and this same helpless mite is come like such another bud half grown, out of the wintry night. Time flies, and yet, bless me, 'tis little changed am I. May Jesus keep from tears those infant eyes, be love their lullaby. The Funeral. They dressed us up in black, Susan and Tom and me, and walking through the fields, all beautiful to see, with branches high in the air, and daisy and buttercup, we heard the lark in the clouds. In black dressed up they took us to the graves, Susan and Tom and me, where the long grasses grow and the funeral tree. We stood and watched, and the wind came softly out of the sky and blew in Susan's hair as I stood close by. Back through the fields we came, Tom and Susan and me, and we sat in the nursery together and had our tea. And looking out of the window I heard the thrushes sing, but Tom fell asleep in his chair. He was so tired, poor thing. The Mother Bird. Through the green twilight of a hedge I peered, with cheek on the cool leaves pressed, and spied a bird upon a nest. 2 eyes she had beseeching me, meekly and brave, and her brown breast throbbed hot and quick above her heart. And then she opened her dagger bill. 'Twas not a chirp, as sparrows pipe at break of day. 'Twas not a trill, as falters through the quiet even. But one sharp solitary note, one desperate, fierce, and vivid cry of valiant tears and hopeless joy, one passionate note of victory. Off like a fool, afraid, I sneaked, smiling the smile the fool smiles best, as the mother bird in the secret hedge, patient upon her lonely nest. The child in the story goes to bed. I prithee, nurse, come smooth my hair. I prithee, nurse, unloose my shoe, and trimly turn my silken sheet upon my quilt of gentle blue. My pillow sweet of lavender smooth with an amiable hand, and may the dark pass peacefully by, as in the hourglass droops the sand. Prepare my cornered mansion sweet, and in my little crystal cup pour out the blithe and flowery mead, that forthwith I may sup. Withdraw my curtains from the night, and let the crisped crescent shine upon my eyelids while I sleep, and soothe me with her beams benign. Dark looks the forest far away. Oh, listen! Through its empty dales rings from the solemn echoing boughs the music of its nightingales. Now quench my silver lamp, prithee, and bid the harpers harp that tune fairies which haunt the meadowlands sing clearly to the stars of June. And bid them play, though I in dreams no longer heed their pining strains. For I would not to silence wake when slumber o'er my senses wanes. You angels bright who me defend, enshadow me with curved wing, and keep me in the darksome night, till dawn another day do bring. End of section 48. This recording is in the public domain. Section 49 of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The Lamplighter. When the light of day declines, and a swift angel through the sky kindles God's tapers clear, with ashen staff the lamplighter passes along the darkling streets to light our earthly lamps, lest prowling in the darkness the thief should haunt with quiet tread, or men on evil errands set, or wayfarers be benighted, or neighbors bent from house to house should need a guiding torch. He is like a needlewoman who deftly on a sable hem stitches in gleaming jewels, or haply he is like a hero whose bright deeds on the long journey are beacons on our way. And when in the east comes morning and the broad splendor of the sun, then with the tune of little birds rings on high, the lamplighter passes by each quiet house, and he puts out the lamps. I met at eve. I met at eve the Prince of Sleep. He was a still and lovely face. He wandered through a valley steep, lovely in a lonely place. His garb was gray of lavender, about his brows a poppy wreath burned like dim coals, and everywhere the air was sweeter for his breath. His twilight feet no sandals wore, his eyes shone faint in their own flame. Fair moths that gloomed his steps before seemed letters of his lovely name. His house is in the mountain ways, a phantom house of misty walls, whose golden flocks at evening graze, and which the moon with muffled calls. Upwelling from his shadowy springs, sweet waters shake a trembling sound. There flit the hoot owl's silent wings, there hath his web the silkworm wound. Dark in his pools clear visions lurk, and rosy as with morning buds. Along his dales of broom and birk dreams haunt his solitary woods. I met at eve the Prince of Sleep. He was a still and lovely face. He wandered through a valley steep, lovely in a lonely place. Lullaby. Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. The little mouse cheeps plaintively. The night bird in the chestnut tree, they sing together, bird and mouse, in starlight, in darkness, lonely sweet. The wild notes and the faint notes meet. Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. Amid the lilies floats the moth. The mole along his galleries goeth in the dark earth. The summer moon looks like a shepherd through the pane, seeking his feeble lamp again. Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. Time comes to keep night watch with thee, nodding with roses, and the sea saith, Peace, peace, amid his foam. Oh, be still. The wind cries up the whispering hill, Sleep, sleep, lovely white soul. Envoy. Child, do you love the flower, ashine with colour and dew, lighting its transient hour? So I love you. The lambs in the mead are at play, 'neath a hurdle the shepherd's asleep. From height to height of the day the sunbeams sweep. Evening will come, and alone the dreamer with dark will beguile. All the world will be gone for a dream's brief while, and I shall be old and away, and you with sad joy in your eyes will brood over children at play, with as loveful surmise. End of section 49. This recording is in the public domain. End of Collected Poems 1901 to 1918 by Walter de la Mare.